How does a game go from being one of the most talked about games in the world to something that feels almost forgotten? And more importantly, what actually happened behind the scenes? Paladins entered my life at a crossroads. I had just moved from Los Angeles to Georgia after the end of my soccer career to begin the start of a new dream, working in video games. What followed was some of the most exciting, chaotic, rewarding, and occasionally heartbreaking moments of my life. World championships, DreamHack events in Spain, millions of players, unforgettable controversy, friendships that would last for years. And right in the middle of it all was Garrett Martini. Back then, Garrett and I were coworkers and friends. Today, after years of working throughout the gaming industry, he's building something entirely new. But before we talk about what's next, I wanted to sit down and talk to him 10 years later about what happened. Not the public-facing version, but the real version. The decisions that the studio made, the pressure, the moments players and even I never knew occurred. The highs, the lows, and the lessons that still matter in video games today. So without further ado, let's talk with Garrett Martini and find out what really happened to Paladins. Officially welcome everybody here. I don't know what this is. This is the Raynday Gaming Show. We're going to do basically a long-form podcast. I've got a chance to sit down with my dear friends, one of my groomsmen at my wedding, and obviously first a colleague who worked alongside me in my esports role and video role. And obviously he was behind the scenes making the game that we were doing the esports for as a lead developer and designer for Paladins. Hi-Rez Martini now goes by a different name, but we're going to call him Garrett. Garrett Martini, Mr. Martini joining us here. And not only did he drive up from San Diego to LA, which I appreciate, but he's got some fun, exciting things to talk about that he's working on. And we're going to be actually previewing and talking about his new game, which is coming out later this year. So if you're interested in Paladins, if you love the Paladins reminisce, if you love the Paladins and the gaming industry insights vibes from someone who's been there, done that, lead designer, not only at Hi-Rez, but spent 4 or 5 years developing a project at Riot over the last time. We're talking about the last 7-year segment and now is doing it on his own. This is the guy to talk to. We're going to pick his brain. We're going to reminisce. We're going to have some fun. But yeah, officially just kicking it off, man. Welcome. Thanks for coming here.
It's an honor to be here. It feels like coming home, sitting next to this fine gentleman here with a headset on and talking into a mic. Some of my best times in life when I like close my eyes and like scroll through the highlight reel, right? Was, talking about Paladins, doing things with Paladins, with Evan, 2 feet away. So, yeah.
Appreciate that, brother.
It's,
man, that's nice.
It's serendipitous, if you will.
It certainly is, dude. And I kind of I think the opportunity here is just so rare and so good to dive into. Yes, gaming and stuff, because the state of games is interesting, and picking your brain on how to solve a lot of the problems that I think the industry is going through, but not just me as a content creator and a gamer who's on the consumer side and the information side, but you as an actual game developer and on the side that people don't get to see, kind of peeling behind the curtain of why do these games get made? Why are these games not making those choices? Why are we somehow trying to say the same thing, but in many ways getting completely opposite results from what a game developer puts out and what a gaming consumer actually wants, or what a gaming consumer says they want and what they actually play or buy, which is even harder because you've got to read between the lines of how much do I honor kind of what the most important thing of my game is, which is the player feedback that they're giving me. And I think that that's something I want to dive into in kind of the middle of the show. But right now, let's talk, dude. I mean, first of all, the early stages of Paladins. Paladins was a game that could not escape the comparison to Overwatch. It just could not escape it. And it really clouded, I think, the early stages of that game coming out. How was that for you as a designer? Because, you were obviously, I mean, factor, like shock factor. I mean, nobody was copying anything from Overwatch, but was it possible to shed some light on how that was actually showing up in the studio at that time? Because obviously you have a huge game coming out that's AAA at the same time, that's doing the same thing you guys are doing. And people would point to a mechanic and go, oh, that's Overwatch, or oh, that's Paladins. And then Overwatch would come out with characters and they'd say, oh, wait, that's Paladins thing. how did you guys respond to that? And like, what was going on behind the scenes of the team that maybe was like the lesser, had the lesser vocality in the gaming industry at that time? It was kind of just like having to take a lot of the crap being thrown at them.
It was insane. Like, and to set context here, like, if you all remember, at the time, there was nothing bigger in gaming, right?
There was nothing bigger.
Blizzard's upcoming character shooter.
Yeah.
Like that, like, dude, I still remember when I saw like the first cinematic, I think was at a BlizzCon with the kids wandering through the museum. And they're like, oh my God, it's Doomfist Gauntlet, dude. And then like, shit pops off.
It was popping. Like, it was popping.
That set the tone. Those early days were freaking magical and kicked off a period in game. Like
they did actually.
They kicked off a segment in gaming that we are arguably still in, which is that character shooter remix of some mechanic product launch. I can't tell you how many games that has affected or inspired. But to the actual meat of your question, so being on the developer side here is really complex because we internally, going super far back before any of that stuff was announced or public knowledge, like Hi-Rez has, as a studio, and this is even before I joined them, has been in the competitive multiplayer, first person, third person shooter space. Like they had decades of experience in that space before I ever joined the company. So they've worked on like third person shooter MMOs with sci-fi themes in Global Agenda, or which it's not like a banger chart topping thing, but for Hi-Rez, it meant a lot to them. They spent a lot of time and effort and resources building those universes, building those games, and like also don't forget about Tribes.
Yeah,
like they also
Tribes
pumped so much of their DNA is in that kind of competitive FPS experience with crazy movement and like abilities and weapons. So lo and behold, this like character shooter gold rush, if you will, gets kicked off, and then they're like, oh man, this was meant for us.
Yeah.
How can we elevate this genre with our experience?
Right.
And even throughout development, there were, oh gosh, like I can't tell, like we would watch, every character announcement video or something. And like, okay, again, scale here, it is Blizzard.
Yeah.
Who is like, the craftsmanship on Blizzard products, right? It's insane.
How much money do you think they spent on their cinematics? I mean, like $2 million. Like
do a 3D cinematic trailer, your rough shorthand here is like oh god, it's probably like 10. I don't know. This is old news. I think it was like $10,000 a second.
Okay,
basically,
yeah, right.
And that's really rough shorthand. Blizzard probably spent more, in all honesty.
Right.
And dude, their stuff was so sick. Like
I know.
Like it's still sick. If you go watch back like the Hanzo Genji stuff or the like, oh my gosh.
That stuff is insane.
They like Blizzard wins hearts and minds. That's what Blizzard does. That's what their brand is. So us being the small in our eyes, like relatively speaking, we weren't an indie team, right? We're more like AA size.
Sure.
And we're like, okay, we have to enter into this market in a way that sets ourselves up uniquely.
Right.
But we're making characters with abilities that run around maps and shoot each other. And God, we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Did you ever play the like early Paladins, like Siege, like early Siege stuff?
I think I did. I think I sat in a couple of playtests with Erez and the guys. I think we were trying to figure out what the mode would look like. Walk me through though. What was that iteration? I mean, Siege was breaking down the base, right?
Yeah, it was really cool.
I do remember that. I do remember. Wow.
Okay, so it was big map. Think your current FPS character arena maps are like, I don't know if there's really a metric here to use, but basically our map was like 3 of those maps.
Okay,
because each one of those maps kind of is like,
that's right. And there'd be one in the middle, and one on the back,
points.
and one on the back. Got it.
Very, very MOBA inspired actually, because remember, Hi-Rez is
Smite.
Hi-Rez is doing Smite, right? A lot of their game design DNA and how like their knowledge about player behavior and stuff like that is all learned and stuff from before that. It was an MMO and FPS and Tribes and Global Agenda, and then they come into Smite and they're like, ooh, there's some dope stuff here. And dude, Smite's still going.
Smite's still going.
But that knowledge set them up to experiment with a shooter mode mechanic that really no one had done before at the time, which kind of captured, and also there's other mechanics too, but map is a big part of it, right? The flow was teams start in a base, very MOBA like, right?
Yeah.
You spawn into the we had like what do we call them? Spawn rooms or something like that. But then then you typically ride off on your mount, your horse, right? Go to whatever the active capture point is, and there's 3 capture points possible to go to. You fight over this capture point. The team that wins the capture point, after this breakneck experience of like this timer going down and your tank's on the point, right? So it has the holy trinity of healer tank DPS kind of stuff. And then you have to escort the siege engine that spawns for the winning team. And that was the field goal after the touchdown, right? That was the wow. Can you take this and get the extra credit and escort this siege tank to your enemy's base? But it was also the win condition, because to win this game, you, much like a MOBA, you had to destroy your enemy's base, their vault, and go through a number of gates. We had gates instead of towers, right? It was like gates, and the siege engine would shoot the thing, and no one was really doing anything like that. Oftentimes, it was very like it's all about like killing players and stuff like that, which is super old school, I would say, shooter brained. But we kind of did that, and we went into like closed alpha or something, I think, like that. Yeah. Alongside, which was crazy at the time, because there was also the card system, right? Which back then it was like roguelike. It was like a roguelike. You would take this deck into your match with you. You would pre-compose this deck, and then as you leveled up, you would be is a pick 3, right? Or choose one of 3 options that would be presented to you as you leveled from your deck. And then each card would have a power level relative to your character level. So based on how the flow of the match would go, you would try and min-max the thing. And we had some crazy stuff. It was like, oh, this card, if you get it at max level, it's just 100% crit rate. I think it was called Fate or something like that. Tortured Fate. That was crazy. But you would build this character. So each of the characters was very kind of malleable in that they all had to work with these modifiers that you would choose on the cards. So it was really a unique thing that no one else was doing. And it didn't feel like, at that time, it wasn't like a high twitch, tracking shooter, right? It was something on its own where it was very team focused, it was very objective focused, it was very build focused. Again, it's that MOBA DNA, culminating in this weird shooter experience that created this niche for us. It was pretty unique and cool. But here's the rub, right? Like, as development continues, we are day in, day out. The studio leadership is seeing the fanfare and the hype and the excitement around these other big products. Yeah. And they want this game to grow. Yeah. And oftentimes in the industry, right, like, developers have to take risks to be different. Because in anything in life, if you look at a success case and you're like, wow, that worked for this other person, right? Whether it's the approach of movies, or entertainment, or even other products and things like that. There's a lot of safety in known quantities and paths. Sure. And it's really scary to do something different or deviate from the norm when there's people succeeding in other verticals. Right. And then that uncertainty can affect the way you approach a product. And this is a theme that's consistent. We're talking in game development, right? Because that's who we are, what we do. Yeah. But that theme is everywhere. Wanting, how was this described to me? One of my managers at Riot was like, "Yeah, there's a certain you want to have a theoretical sense of safety over your decisions. Sure. That you can fund as many high caliber, big budget smart brains that you surround yourself with that tell you what you're doing is the right decision because that same decision worked in other places.
Right.
The flip side here is that if you're doing what other people do, then you're not unique. Then you're not special. Then you struggle to stand out.
And that's even harder, like getting into the general gaming lens before going back into more of the Paladins timeline. That is even harder nowadays. Concord is the best example of that, but the most recent example is HighGuard, which made a very safe decision, almost too safe, some would say, to add the, X hero shooter, X characters, that flame guy, girl who has, a bird and vision over the map.
The girl with the bird.
With the bird and vision on the map.
Man.
And you can't get like the ice, character who has a shield of ice, right? A wall of ice. And yet they try to reinvent themselves, but it didn't work. There were a lot of people who were passionate about that project. I was passionate about the team because these people had developed Apex. They had gone and started their own studio. There were people I knew. They were friends of mine. And in the same way, it was very hard for them to see that there might be anything outside of they love the game. This is what people will think about the game, surely. And it obviously ended up not being the case. And I think they also didn't plan for, if this game doesn't succeed, 2 weeks later, Tencent, which we found out is the major backer for that, is going to basically withdraw most of their funds, if not all their funds, and they'll be forced to lay off their entire 100+ studio, which another shock. So I don't know the know-all or not the know-all, but I want to get your thoughts. Why do you think HighGuard struggled and ultimately failed coming out as a game?
So there's lots of ways to look at
it. What did you learn as a developer from that story of theirs?
Yeah, so we were following it pretty close. I mean, granted, I have worked in the shooter space for the majority of my career, thus far, at least. So I felt that what I was seeing, at least, I'm a semi-informed opinion on this, right? Like I was not along for the ride on their dev cycle. I don't know how things go behind the scenes, but what I can tell you is that first and foremost, a lot of people ask themselves like, okay, why are these? So I think I'm getting ahead of myself. The audience or potential audiences, right? A lot of what I felt like people were reacting to, right? Which kind of affected that first impression. Yeah. Because it was the whole deal where they took the
Game Awards,
the premiere slot, right?
Yeah.
They were hyped up, and
overhyped.
People reacted, I would say, relatively negatively.
Oh, very negatively, yeah.
Because this is like, hey, this is a character shooter in a multiplayer arena that we've seen how many times?
Right.
How many times before?
Right.
And remember what I was talking about that level of certainty, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the most certain genres to build for in gaming is shooters. They have the biggest audiences across the board. So to money people, if someone has a compelling argument for why a game should be made and it is a shooter, right? What they look at is they look at all the success cases of shooters,
right?
Whether they're battle royales, whether they're arena character shooters, whether they're tactical shooters. There is billions and billions of dollars of successful shooter games to point at and be like, we could do something
mobile
like
shooters.
Mobile shooters.
PUBG mobile.
Huge.
Massive.
I don't know if it's
Bang
still.
Bang. There's a game called Bang Bang. It's like that's another shooter. It's
also Crossfire.
Huge. Crossfire. Yeah.
Crossfire is probably what we're getting at here. So like that's, I mean, a lot of, if you're sitting there, you're wondering like, okay, why am I seeing all these shooters be made when like, I feel like it's getting, we've mined that. We've mined the depths of that. It's because it's kind of like a safe investment. And also what happens in development cycles, right, is they happen over periods of probably like 5 to 10 years, honestly, of like chasing themes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Overwatch hits, so like Overwatch, Battle Royales, these all hit like what, 2000?
They hit within the same, basically,
right?
year almost.
And that like pumps the markets, right? People are, you're seeing all this engagement, all this money thrown around, their products in gaming are reaching heights that they've never reached before.
Correct.
All on the backs of shooters.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike, we didn't mention, but like all these games are putting up record numbers, record CCUs, pushing these companies to insane levels. So people that want to get into investing, right, that attracts a lot of attention. And they're like, oh, I love games. I have money. what are we gonna make? Well, shooter seems like a great idea.
Yeah.
There seems to be support for a lot of these things, and maybe we're just kind of like tapped out right now.
Is it also maybe that we have everyone already committed to the shooters?
Oh yeah.
That they're gonna play.
Let me take this. Let me take this. So like, time is the most important thing in everyone's life, right? It's the only thing we really can't ultimately have control over. The way that games are made now, today, is you guys are familiar with the free-to-play model, the games as a service model.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent the majority of my career working in it. What that has done over the gaming landscape, again, over the last decade, is created some juggernauts. So it creates these massive incumbents, right? These large players that offer, have very low barrier entry to games that have immense amounts of content.
Yeah.
And it creates like this crazy amount of, like, you can play these games endlessly.
Yeah.
They're called, you may have heard the term like forever game, right?
Yeah.
It's the forever game.
Yeah.
And games, and again, forever games that hit these crazy sizes, like those numbers and that amount of cash is what gets the attention of all these outside investors, right?
Right.
It's the fantasy of creating the next Fortnite or the next League of Legends.
Yeah.
So every time you see a new character shooter, right, it's because everyone is they're chasing those big dreams because of the upside they represent, right, to outside investors. So people that are trying to approach genres or games that historically like aren't forever games, you basically are not supported in a lot of ways by people who are in the business of supporting games. Every chance to make a new game for the most part, and I'm talking generally here, there's always exceptions.
Sure.
But at least as of late, with all these big budget hits or big budget fundings, it's like if people are taking shots, they want the moonshot. Right. They want that next Marvel's Rivals. They want those.
I'm not going to give you 500 million to make maybe something that'll maybe make 600 million. You're looking at if I'm making 500 million, giving you that, you need to be promising $1.5 billion every year.
They want $1 billion
if
games.
it works.
They want $1 billion games.
Right.
And that sounds insane.
Right.
But it's just like the relative of scale. It's like, okay, you have 1,000-person or multi-1,000-person company, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, if you're the person in charge of greenlighting games and you have to go to your C-suite and be like, well, we could make this game that's going to make couple $100 million of profit. Or we could, try and make this other game that at least the comps are in the $1 billion range.
Right.
I mean, the calculus is pretty simple there, right? Like, it's like, who wants hundreds of millions of dollars of profit when you could have billions?
But games get started, funded, said we're switching different directions all the time. What in your mind, is it more environmental, or is it something that you've noticed companies realize about the game that it's not going to hit that number, so they say, well, if it's not going to hit that number, let's cut our losses. And B, does this help explain why you look at games like, again, the biggest meme that started all this that HighGuard was referenced towards was Concord, a $400 million investment from Sony across the board of development. They had a cinematic TV show coming out with I believe it was Amazon Prime or Netflix on the launch of that game. And it had like 80 concurrent players, and they canceled it right out the gate. Is it because they know they can't hit that number and they won't, and they shift early enough to try to avoid that? Or is there something deeper where they don't know till they put it out, and they have to somehow take these huge losses? Because I feel like we're in an area where games are taking, it feels like haymakers that they don't see coming. And I'm wondering, does someone see them coming? Is this just the model is go for it, shoot for the moon, and we're literally going to like die trying? Or, what happens when someone sees it coming and they say, well, maybe this isn't for us. We're going to be more conservative and switch these tones. Like behind the scenes, what's going on in both of those decisions? Yeah.
So my emotional reaction to that is like it's that just listening to those things, like just rattled off, right? It does sound crazy.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy. So if I can offer valuable insight here, so I think, so on the flip side of things, to make anything in games, in creative industries, like, I think that you need there's just like a certain amount of delusion that you need. You need to believe that what you are doing is worth doing and will succeed. Because if you don't, no one is going to listen to you.
Right.
No one is going to support you.
Right.
Now, the fact that such delusion was, it had to be tested internally at some point in time, and if it wasn't, then I have no comment there. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But that's like, I don't know. I think there's a really big difference between maybe more traditional studio development at these big things than actually what we were experiencing.
Right.
So for all of probably fair critique that can be leveled at Hi-Rez, right? Hi-Rez was super adamant about getting things to players quickly, verifying your stuff with your real audience, probably testing things with live player audiences that probably shouldn't have been tested.
True.
I would argue that is one of probably some valuable lessons we've taken. But that is in defense, right, of avoiding that scenario you just pointed out.
I completely
right?
agree.
Yeah, man, we pivoted a lot on Paladins
Yeah.
in the early days.
Yeah. I mean, getting even to that, the moment we were talking about was where you decided the game should go in terms of branching of decision. So you have the siege mode, but we obviously end up with, very much kind of hero shooter classic modes of capturing the point, pushing the payload, defending, attacking. And it becomes this way of Paladins that we know and love now, and obviously different modes that we can play for fun and things like that. But how did you decide which fork to take?
Okay, this is a crazy fork in the road. So under the hood, right? What we are building is a shooter. It's a first-person shooter. The way that you organize what players do in these sessions can have a lot of variance. And the consequences of that variance can be pretty extent, and how it sets yourself apart in the market, how your innovations differentiate you from other people. Why would someone play your game versus other games?
Right. Right.
There's tons of as we've established, there's tons of shooters in the marketplace, and a lot of them are successful and great, and they offer these really niche, cool things. But that fork in the road that we're talking about was crazy for Paladins, because we were at this convergence point where we had all of these ingredients in front of us. We had characters, we had different map mechanics, we had all this stuff, and we were actively talking, before any of these things actually probably became super big, right? We were sitting there evaluating, I think it was ultimately 3 paths, where it was okay, do we continue down the classic siege path, flesh this out more, really define what makes this unique and create this identity for the brand,
right?
Based on the constraints of what it meant. Do we go down a more Overwatch route, right? Which is this character arena. It's more competitive arena than it is big sprawling space.
Right.
And it's very tight. It's very focused. These characters have these tight kits with ultimates. And that's what was crazy in the market at the time.
Yeah,
that's what everyone was building.
That's what everyone was doing.
Right. And this is actually, I think, the one I internally voted for. Or did I want the classic siege? I can't remember. Some coworkers going to reach out to me. Garrett, you were advocating
Either
for this.
way, you didn't get it. So,
but there was also the path of okay, could we create something that is more tac shooter-ish, actually, that is less arena-y and more what eventually became a Valorant, which is character abilities, but over the framework of attack shooter.
Interesting.
With its slower paced, lower TTK, very weapon mechanic definition, and injecting character abilities in there. And playing what ifs or what could have been is always great. But then hilarious. I later in my career, right, I ended up at Riot for a little bit. And we were on some cross design disciplinary just exercise stuff. And I actually was with a lot of the early Val devs. And it was so weird because they hit that exact same crossroads. And again, this is happening completely asynchronous.
Wow.
Of all this, so behind the scenes, they were like, okay, we've got this shooter. It could be a lot of things. Right. Where do we pull the trigger on this like clear direction on where to go? And they chose tac shooter.
Wow.
And they made Valorant. Actually, also fun fact. God, what was his tag? Adonis, Kevin.
Yeah.
Like he's a designer on Val. He makes characters for them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff,
From Paladins to Val.
Heck yeah, man. Good stuff. Well, I mean, Valorant captured, the sexy tac shooter, which, people had been waiting a little bit for that. They didn't know they needed it. I mean, CS had dominated that space for so long, but I think Valorant opened up that space to a really young audience, especially like 14, 15, and jumping into the early 20 streamers. And a lot of people blew up from that game, but a lot of people, I feel like it just became a part of the cultural teenage zeitgeist to play that game and be good at that game. And it's a perfect game for somebody like that who's got time to game, but also max, what do we call, instincts, basically trigger discipline and all the stuff that ages as you age and goes away a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think that it was a perfect choice for them. And I don't see any other game as a tac shooter. We've seen games try to come into that space. FragPunk was a good example. Really cool, not as sexy. And I think that and the way I'm using sexy is just like stylistically, it just hits that point of this is like the dope game to be running. Like if you're good at this game, you look cool being good at it. FragPunk was cool, but in a way it was just, I think it was too late. And obviously that they put a lot of money into that game. Still got, we're in 1,300, 2,000 concurrent player kind of range for that as well. But another opportunity that maybe just timing wise, Valorant and Riot struck at the right time with that decision, which is so interesting that you guys were kind of making that different places in the world, trying to figure that out as well.
Yeah. Like Riot is, the amount of dedication and effort that they throw behind their products is like unmatched.
Yeah.
I remember conversations about people in these circles were effectively talking about like, man, Riot spends so much money on game development. And it's having worked there, they do, because they want to give you the best games possible. Yeah. And look, you have these titans, right? They've got, TFT, they've got Valorant, they've got League of Legends. These are like, oh God, I don't even want to call them. I mean, these franchises, they're more than franchises. Yeah. They're and Riot is just savage about how they want to like keep doing these games and the amount of effort they put into them. It's a level of effort that I have not seen elsewhere. Yeah. So that's how you get that.
So you get great games.
Yeah.
They have that fan base that is it's incredible. I think too. Any thoughts before we? I just got it because you're a fighting game guy. 2XKO. Any thoughts on that? I mean, obviously they downsized and they didn't have the console representation that they thought they would. Consoles where fighting games live, obviously, and it's also where I would think the community of fighting games live, let alone the players, but really the community of it. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So 2XKO is it's a beautiful game. Like Riot fanboyism in me is like they put so much effort into those. I know a ton of people on that project. Like the amount of dedication that they put onto that thing for a long dev cycle, excuse me. Yeah. Like, because remember, like they previewed that stuff like a long time ago, and they've been grinding on it. I think a lot of the, I guess, intrigue around that project cycle is like, so rewind even further back, like that original premise was from a game called Rising Thunder, which was a studio that I believe like showed some demo reels, or they had a trailer. I think I'm gonna get owned in chat, but I think it was like 2015ish when they were like showing some of what they've been worked on. This is and then that studio was actually bought out by Riot, and then Riot was like, oh, we can. There's some juice here. Wow. We're gonna try and squeeze this. And then they've given that team the purview to like build up and try and craft something over time. But like we were talking about scale, earlier, right? When we're talking about sizes of bets and stuff like that, it's really intriguing to me. So if you know anything about gaming markets and the market size and player counts and stuff like that, that's like fighting games are they are these huge franchise names that everyone is familiar, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter,
right,
Tekken,
right,
big names.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, their portion of the actual amount of gamers, right, is really small.
Yeah.
So a company like Riot, who sets out at the scale that Riot normally sets out, right, and it's like, you know what, we're gonna do a fighting game,
right?
We're gonna invest into this the way that Riot invests into games. They go hard, guys. Like, which means they're not cutting corners anywhere. They're spending all of the dollars on trying to make stuff that you will love. But a fighting game historically is a type of game that has struggled to hit audience sizes in a way that feels a little bit like it's kind of like capped in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's a very relative to again, we're talking millions of players here, millions and millions of players, but other games have hundreds of millions of players, right? So scale is really important to understand here. So when you go and you invest tons of cash into a game the way that Riot does, you kind of know that you're like, okay, if we are the best version of what a fighting game can be, then that is still like a fraction of what the best MOBA can be.
Right.
Assuming you don't have any like core functional innovations that really like change like the genre of your game,
right?
In a way, like something hugely transformative that maybe activates or engages new audiences.
Yeah.
And when you see in gaming, the history of gaming, there are like inflection points where those types of innovations happen, right?
Yeah.
For example, we've been talking a lot about shooters. That's where our material comes from. An inflection point of that like magnitude, right? As an example, is like the BR, the battle royale, the battle royale. Like I think, what year was it? Like PUBG was like
PUBG's massive. It's probably 2016.
But that's
17.
That
something
starts
like that. Yeah,
right.
Right.
And then that sets off a chain reaction.
Fortnite right after.
Of immense scale.
Yeah.
Across the industry, everyone wanted to try BR. Hi-Rez made a BR. We actually
Paladins Battlegrounds.
We technically made two,
and
right?
Realm Royale.
Yeah.
Talk about
that was crazy.
Wow.
They're like, hey, Garrett, do you want to build a game in your game so you can game while you game?
So you can game while you game? Yeah, that was crazy.
And then they were like, oh, let's just make another game entirely. But those were fun.
People still remember the chicken, man. People still remember. My mom.
Yo, shout out
says,
to the chicken.
Yo,
shout out to the chicken.
You mean that game with the chicken? I mean, I bet a lot of people, although it doesn't stick as like a really formative memory, I think it's a memory a lot of people would have of a couple weeks of just absolute fun on Realm Royale.
Again, I talked about it earlier. That's
$100,000 Friday night Keemstar tournaments, Ninja playing. Who else was playing that game? Tim.
I mean, all your big BR
folks.
Your
big BR folks.
Yeah.
Everybody was playing that game, man. Ninja had 80,000 viewers playing Realm Royale, turning into a chicken. I remember going over, celebrating. It was a crazy time, man. It was a crazy time. That game not getting the love that it could have had is another one where you go, man. Nowadays, I feel like games would kill for that moment. And then all we got to do is maintain the system to make it right and not be erratic and not make crazy decisions. Because now that is not happening for a lot of games that come out with way more investment. And, obviously it leads to a bigger conversation on all of these things you're bringing up, the decisions that these companies have made from Battle Royale off PUBG, from Overwatch and Paladins, and where Paladins was able to grow from that crazy success of that genre, which certainly had an impact in Paladins being a successful game. Now we're seeing, you may say it's continuing, but we might actually be at the end of that. Starting like what's going to be the next thing. And I think we've seen a little bit of that.
Oh, man.
I think we've seen a little bit of it. I mean,
what do you think? What's the next thing?
My eyes go to I think indie games. I think indie games right now, and I look at it like if I were to say what's the best model that I think people will start investing in a little more, I think indie games, because if you look at a company like A24 who makes like it feels like 10 movies a year, and they make not blockbuster movies like Marvel, like you had said, which is what the model of the gaming industry has been. You know, crazy amounts of money, crazy amount of money back. A24 makes $20 million movies that make $38 million opening, and then they make 20 million in, you know, sales over DVDs or, you know, DVR over the rest of the year. And then they're just constantly 20 million here, 50 million on this one. They have a way over performer, you know, and it gets 102. Okay, great. Now we made 100 million on that. So that finances the next 4 movies we're making. That's their business model, and it works. And it's like, how many $20 games have I played more than $70 games? A lot.
I think you're 100% right. And if I can, I guess, add some perspective here. So a lot of the reason for that, so not only do I think smaller, so it's called, God, I forgot who said it. Again, clip this and correct me, folks. But it's like, it's a term or a concept called like death of the middle, basically, where in gaming, I think, as you pointed out, in near future to who knows how long, what you're going to see is a lot of small games, and then the continuation of these absolute juggernaut incumbents,
right? And
then things that were supposed to hit in the middle,
gone.
They're either not there or they're going to continue to fall on their face,
right? Like
they have been. So I talked about the time period, right? Of like, you know, 2010 to 2020. We were talking about BRs and stuff like that. That was also the like big come up of like esports, and that was fueled by MOBAs, and it was also fueled by free to play, and it was also fueled by better like technology and all these new ways for games to like harness large numbers of people.
Right.
Like formats were evolving, technology was evolving. So you saw this huge spike in growth, which then the result of that is it attracts all of the people that are like, oh, let me get in on that. I love games. Let me get in on that. And I've got cash to burn. Let me be a part of that.
Do you think it's goodwill, good intentioned, or does this feel? I was going to say sharks in the water, but do you think that's inaccurate?
It's mixed bag. So for every person who has like, oh, I want to go into this because there are gamers and I want to extract the wealth from these people with microtransactions, right? There are those people. Yeah. Listen, as someone who has just founded a small studio, like I've talked in these circles, and it reveals things to you as someone who is only on the dev side of things before. But sorry, I'm getting caught up here. But for every one of those person, there are a ton of people who are like, wow, I love games. I love what gaming does for people and to people. How can I be a part of that? How can I bring people joy? Because that's how I want to spend my time. Yeah. That's how I want to spend my resources, is to be a part of that.
Yeah. I'd rather help build a game that's awesome than be, you know, part of a venture capital firm that goes and tries to create an AI app right now and just generate income from that.
I did the circles. I did the VC rounds. We were not successful on those suckers. But like,
there's too many crazy things to invest in from that.
Dude, it was right. Yeah. Peak AI fad stuff.
Come on, man.
And I was, in a weird way, it actually kind of hardened me in like, or like it tempered me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow. So these are the instances. These are the people holding the keys to a lot of, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense now based on what I see gets invested in.
Yeah.
And again, I'm talking general here. There are VCs that I talk to who they are like extremely passionate X game developers who know their stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just how they've like evolved their career. They're those that are out there.
Yeah.
So I don't think the system is broken. I just think we're at a crazy time right now. But what happened over that crazy inflection point, right? Like it was building and building and building. Big gaming is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then in the last 5 years, right now, all we're seeing is titles fail.
Yeah.
We're seeing these things fall on their face. It's because those are all of the bets that are now coming to fruition from
Right.
all the people that were attracted 10 years ago
Right.
to all that fanfare.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is the result of it. And we kind of hit this like climax. We hit this peak in 2020, right? World shuts down, everyone's inside gaming, like pushing, like relatively speaking, like the numbers gaming companies and entertainment companies saw during this time, because everyone is trapped. All they have, right, is to like interact with digital entertainment.
Yeah.
Right. That was like the capstone on all of the gaming fads. And so to improve upon, like it is impossible for like gaming to then continue to grow.
Yeah.
So now we're in the market pullback, right? It's like, and we're seeing all these failed bets from the people that tried to get in from, you know, on the rise of esports, on the backs of free to play,
Right.
And all the people that, and it's just blow after blow to the industry. We're seeing studio shut down after studio shut down, game teams releasing and then like laying off. So it's like, that's the death of the middle. So it's like all of that stuff that would find an audience previously, it's going to be people that are lean and mean and small and trying to like build these kind of like fun, novel experiences with the constraints of being like, you know, 5 to, I don't know, I'm pulling numbers out of my butt here, but like 30-person team.
Yeah.
Or you're the Riot game. You're the Epic.
Yeah.
You're making these juggernauts, because, you know, going up again, if you're trying to make a game right now, if you're building a MOBA, something like that, you're entering into an arena where you're like, I literally have to compete against decades worth of work and content by the best studios in the biz. If you have your eyes set on like multiplayer, free to play stuff.
Well, that's why most people are making MOBAs. I mean, no one's coming out with, hey, this new indie MOBA. I mean, it's just not even, no one's even trying that. I have never seen that. Have you seen that?
You know, there's a lot of games being made.
There's a lot of games being made. I don't know. You sound like you know of an indie MOBA being made and you can't tell me.
I think that assuming you have confidence in your innovation, right? Just make sure that your hook is solid and that you are providing something that is a significant new thing, and then the sky's the limit.
Well, think about Supervive. This was a game that just had to cancel. They were in a game I really liked a lot. Was kind of in the early check-in of getting access to that game. It is a really well-made game. It's Battle Royale with a MOBA element. It's a unique twist on two popular genres. The combination didn't work, though. It didn't really make what they wanted as an experience, or at least what kept players around. I don't think you can make an indie MOBA that looks better than that, because it's not even indie. They had backing. That was really well made.
Indie funding.
No, that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. So indie funding would have to be, I mean, and I think this is where I'm putting my own constraints on the potential of humanity. I think people could, it's possible, but I see how daunting that would be, because you're right. I'm choosing to play Deadlock. I'm choosing to play League. I'm choosing to play and learn Dota for the first time, and maybe
you're doing the Dota grind.
No, I'm just saying, if I am, I have my choices.
I wouldn't have taken you for a Dota grind.
I have my choices as a gamer. Why would I ever even look for a MOBA that's an indie MOBA, unless it somehow, like you said, grabbed the attention of me through, maybe a Steam event, or maybe something that shows up like underground, viral marketing.
That
technique.
game has to offer you something.
It's got to be something different, right? Which is possible, but it is possible. But you're dealing with so much learned experience and success on the other side that it has to compete against, that it feels like a much harder task than what we are seeing a lot of indie games do, which is innovate on a different type of experience.
That's correct.
Rather than a different genre.
That's correct.
Right. So and I think that's helping people also say, well, what do I want from video games? Very interesting. And speaking of that, back to Paladins, that is like kind of an interesting thing, because as you're doing these forks in the road, you're looking at experiences. Many people don't know this, but there was that year, you mentioned it, like 15, but it was essentially 17. They tried to do 17. They couldn't do, I don't think you guys could do all 17 in the year, but I think it was 17.
Oh, those characters?
It was 20, it was 17 characters in 2017.
Yeah.
That was the pitch. That was the goal from Todd. I think you guys did only get 15, which it's still insane.
It's crazy.
And I want to talk about what that was like, because basically you more than doubled the roster, I think, at that point. But also it was one of the things that would make the game, it was almost marketing. It was essentially like every single month or every 2 or 3 weeks, we have a new character, a new reveal, a new update show about it. We had a beat. My videos, I remember doing videos, and I would upload my video for this. And I could cheat because I was at the company and I could already pre-record it and I could have it put out the second it was coming out. I had a competitive edge and I used it, and it would get hundreds of thousands of views every single video every 3 weeks for these reveals. And now it's like these main games, speaking of Apex, I think they do maybe 1.5 characters a year on average. So oh,
this is a great topic.
Yeah.
This is a great
topic. It's amazing that you did that, but part of your identity of building the game had to come within this crazy run of also just nonstop throwing content out there, which probably was hard to manage. How do I make this game as good as it could possibly be? But also, holy crap, Terminus's ability is not working. How do I, figure that out before it comes into patch 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, it's super hard, guys, but it is so fun. I get so energized by games that build characters. Basically, character-based games for me are really fun. I think it all stems from my time in the WoW mines, just playing these classes.
Yeah.
Just the idea of a character, what a character represents. It's this little microcosm of this power fantasy that you're like, oh, how can we make this the coolest thing? But in the free-to-play model, which is where you see over the last decade a lot of these character games, that's where they occupy.
Right.
Because it synergizes really nicely with what the free-to-play platform offers, which is hey, you get to get in the door free of admission, right? And then where we're going to make money is we're going to get you really invested in all these characters and then sell you, as Overwatch Jeff put it, he's like, you have to make 1 billion keychains for people, and then they have to buy 1 billion keychains.
Yeah,
that's how that model works.
Yeah,
versus the previous model. And again, everything.
Why do you think people care about that though? Have you ever?
It's social.
Do you feel the call? You do feel it though. You feel like you got to have the cool skin.
So, okay.
Or are you removed from it because you've been a part of the process?
No, I'm You're totally subject to it.
Okay.
Let me tell you about my cosmetic preferences.
Because I'm not gonna lie, dude. I feel removed from that, and I don't know if it's just me. Or...
I think you are you're historically an athlete, right?
Yeah.
You're where you get your dopamine from. Right?
Yes, okay,
it's in the gameplay, dude. You wanna best people. You wanna compete.
That's true.
You're a competitor. Other people who maybe okay, so we're getting deep in the psychology weeds here.
Yeah.
The reason that free to play works, it's they're not really selling you gameplay. They're giving you gameplay.
Right.
What they're selling you is I guess prestige,
status,
feeling like you're a part of something,
community,
by the way you present, and because most games are anonymous, people can then they can present themselves however they want. So it's it is and combined with the fact that people are inherently very individualistic.
Yeah.
Right. Especially in the West, our culture is exceptionally individualistic in the West, to a fault in a lot of cases. But it's
tell me more.
I want to play a character that plays like this, that demonstrates power, that looks like this, and I want to aesthetically look like this. And then I'm gonna and this is okay. So this is the other part. So this is where the social pressure comes in, and where this obsession with wanting to play the thing that's highest on the CCU meters, right? It's people only want to put time into things that they feel like their time, the value of their time is reciprocated.
That's right.
And in the free-to-play games, what does that mean? It means it's well, I want to be in a spot where everyone else is and be a part of that moment in time that's special, that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's validated by those CCUs, those Steam charts.
What's the point of having the shiniest flag on an island by yourself?
And dude, there's some players, they don't care. They don't
Yeah.
care about that.
Sure.
But
you need it. I do think you need. You're right. I think it's the social community element. I think there's a prestige element to it. For
100%,
sure.
100%. And it's not. We're talking about these factors from the perspective of like, you know, people who have worked in this space for a long time.
Sure.
This is not like malicious.
No.
In any ways. This is just how we are programmed, how we work. Because at the end of the day, right? Like, we're making entertainment products. So like. Audiences, like entertainment products are so risky, guys. Like,
yeah, they are.
If you former saying from Hi-Rez leadership, it's like, hey, what's like the fastest way to make a game that makes $1 million, right? It's like just come in with like $2 million or something to that effect.
Yeah,
like spends $2 million to make $1 million.
Yeah.
It's like 99% of games fail.
Yeah. Wow.
So I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, you know, try and be more supportive of games.
Mm-hmm.
I think every game is an entertainment product. It needs a reason to exist. It has to entertain some people. And hopefully there's an audience big enough that loves, you know, what you've made, what you're working on. And, you know, it's competition out there.
I was developing this idea while you're talking on one subject. It kind of struck, and that's why I'm saying I was developing, because it's not fully formed. There was a nugget in my mind. So you said you're like entertainment. You are. Games are entertainment. But I was wondering if you felt you were held to the I guess standards of entertainment, or if you were held to the standards of athletics. Because what I find when it comes to games is kind of entertainment people, and this is kind of new in the last 5 years, where entertainment people are getting clowned on like a lot. And there's just like kind of a counter entertainment movement, especially if you look at like Hollywood, right? And just like, I can't stand what this person's saying. I'm going to boycott that movie because this person's in it. That like never, ever happened before. And now it's happening. But there was something around the idea of kind of like, I have to put my effort in. I have to give my all, and I have to also be effective. And the second that I'm not effective in capturing this audience, I'm basically out the door. And the audience doesn't care, and there's no like love lost. And it's not like, oh, we still care about you. It's like, no, bye, next. And to me, that reminds me a lot of my athlete journey as a player, and somebody who's like, listen, the only reason you're going to be on the field is if you're effective. And it's like, I like you as a person. That game idea was so cool, but you did not pull in enough players to make the money back, so you're out. And I feel like, you know, there's a lot of people in entertainment, you know, like, listen, there's sometimes that you're a perennial star, you can just do a bunch of movies, some don't work, some do, and you just keep going. But with game studios, I feel like the metric is really around, it is around efficacy, and it reminds me a little bit more of an athletic standard of put points up on the board, or you take a seat on the bench. Yeah,
I think that. So nobody likes to be,
which is hard when it's creative. Mm-hmm. When it's a creative field.
Yeah, feelings can get hurt.
Right.
Like I am someone who like I vastly prefer to take responsibility and own things.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. So it's really easy. And I'm sure you've seen this in athletics, where if you want, you can find something else to blame.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you approach things from it's like with a really big, you know, internal locus of control, where it's like, I did not get the results I wanted because of actions and decisions I took.
Right.
Then I think for me at least that gives me clarity. And informs how I approach everything now.
Is that something you've always had, or did you feel that you developed it? How did you develop that internal locus of control?
Well, this is great. The interview tactic is super great. You're coming back to it. But it was like after because I told you guys, I was like terrible student. Mm-hmm. I was definitely in the camp of like, I'm being affected by environment sort of thing. And then it was basically around like when I went to college first, and like I got terrible grades. I didn't go to a good school. I did community college, which is ultimately so much the right decision for me. Before I would like probably, if I had snuck into a good school and gone bankrupt, where I was just out and responsible for myself. And the decisions I would make would directly inform how my life would go, versus being kind of just along for the ride, like in a public school system or something like that, or underneath the wing of my parents. So that's where I think I get it from. And then as I've grown in my craft, I have been thankfully given more and more control over things, which is great. And I love it. But being able to be honest with yourself about what works and not getting, high on your own supply or lost in the sauce, whatever funny, quirky euphemism you want to use here, trying to be real about the results you're getting is a really important part about being an effective game developer or an effective athlete or an effective entertainer. Like it's all the same in my eyes. And I'm being broad here, but like it's a mindset thing. Because if you want excuses, there's always an excuse somewhere.
There's always an excuse. I find that that's a really good, I mean, I love that college kind of inspired you to take that route. I think I even got it earlier. I mean, I told you that I had been doing a lot of superstar athlete things when I was in my teen years, but definitely moving. And then the process of actually coming back after that move, going back to school, there was a lot of learning there. And I don't know if I learned it all till well after college, but I think that it informed me of the opportunity I had that I could have taken advantage of differently had I decided to really care about that in the way that some of the other people cared about it.
The what ifs you're playing.
Yeah. I mean, and I was a great player at that time, but I hit a rhythm of getting into a slump. I was playing my absolute best before I got invited to the World Cup 17 team. That was my first time, actually my second time going to Japan to play with them.
Dude, that sounds so cool.
I had been in Japan for another trip for a regional team, and then I had gone back with the U17 men's national team, and I was playing in a stadium in Nagoya. We had literally one of the craziest games I've ever had. This is still the craziest finish I've ever had.
You close your eyes, you can see it, right?
Well, I can still see the stadium because it was a 10,000 person stadium there, which is huge if you're 17 and you're playing in that. And I'm taking a penalty kick, but I'm seventh because we're tied. When this is with, I think, either the Republic of Korea or kind of a team Eastern European, think Russia, something like that. But we're tied. And literally, I'm seventh, so only 5 people kick, right? So I'm really not worried because 2 people would have to miss after everyone's kicked. So we get to the 3rd, 4th guy, and we're still tied. So now it's like, all right, somebody's going to win or lose. All right, great. So then we make it. They make it. So that's 5 kicks. So now we got to go 6. I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to think it could be me. So, and the other version is we lose, which I don't want. So our guy goes up, and makes the kick. Okay, great. And so now we either win or not. But then their guy goes up and they make the kick. So now it's up to me. We start again. 7th kick. Man, I remember this PK. It snuck in. I got it in. I made it.
I knew it would.
I made it.
I knew you had it.
But then the guy after me thinking, man, now I could be the game winner. He made his too. So we keep going. 8, 9, 10. No, there's 11 people on the field. So the next people that have to kick
doing loops?
The next people that have to kick are the goalkeepers. So our goalkeeper has to actually kick against their goalkeeper, and he makes his shot. And their goalkeeper has to kick against ours, and I believe our goalkeeper stops his shot. And we run in, and we go 11 deep on these penalty kicks in the stadium in Japan. And it was just like the craziest thing in my life. And I was just like, I'll never not remember that PK. And you know what? Honestly, after that, I went, and I did not have a great time when I had moved. I think I was just too young, and I think I just didn't understand how young I was and how not really ready to take. I was a very responsible person, but I wasn't ready to take responsibility for my life like that. I think there were a lot of people who life had grown them made them groan a little bit.
Is it a little bit on the advanced track?
A little bit on the advanced track, and it sometimes that's a struggle. Sometimes that's a hardship. Sometimes that's something that just makes you go,
absolutely,
screw it. Like, I'm my own man, and I'm gonna do it. And I had 17-year-old guys who were ready to be pros, and I was not ready to be a pro. I was just a great soccer player. So, college ended up being a perfect choice for me, but I had to learn that. And I think coming back to it as well, I'm sure like your journey has been ups and downs when it comes to stuff that you had success with. Like, I'm sure some of the characters you developed, I mean, there's some fond memories on that. And, there's been some downs too, which I kind of also want to touch on a little bit.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I think to me, I kind of wanted you to, when we got into that like conversation on the characters, I did quickly want to just shout out, is there anybody that you found really fun to make that you enjoyed? And on the flip side, who was your maybe biggest, from a Paladins character, challenge to work with, or like regret, or somebody you might have done differently? If you can go back with that lens I'm talking about and do it again.
Man, you're opening up a can, dude. I can talk. Okay.
I know.
I love my characters.
I love it. I love it. First of all, which characters did you design in Paladins?
Too many.
Okay, but name them.
Can we bring up like a
Paladins?
list?
You don't remember?
I do. We literally did this exercise, I think, for like one of our like content videos, and I could not name all the characters I made. Oh
wait, I need to give you a visual list, like.
And there's plenty now, so I imagine there's going to be a bunch that I don't recognize, because the team was chugging. After,
I know, dude. There's so many I don't recognize.
It's okay. I can tell you a story about all of mine, and then maybe some of the others as well.
All right, let's do Frontlines.
Yeah. Okay.
Which Frontlines did you design?
Okay, so directly designed, I did Ash, I did Khan, I did Makoa.
Makoa?
I did Rom, I did Terminus.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, those are my front lines. So Ash,
Makoa, Rom, Terminus,
Khan.
I see a big beefy boy theme.
Listen, I told you.
I see a big beef theme.
I am consistent with my branding and my character aesthetics. I'm telling you, dude, it all comes back to World of Warcraft.
That's so funny.
I played a warrior.
Did you? Okay.
Mortal Strike warrior.
Never would have guessed.
I want big pauldrons, heavy suit of armor, large two-handed weapons in everything I do.
Okay.
Which, when we talk about our game later, you will see some characters and you'll be like, okay, which one is Garrett most excited about?
Yeah, we'll
see. It will be obvious. But yeah, so these are my frontline children here.
Okay.
Ash is really awesome. I remember her theme was like, she is the siege breaker. She's the one the magistrate is sent to take a castle, burst through the battering ram. Is her
Ash
ability,
was awesome.
right?
I loved her.
She was going to be up in your face with that like short range flat cannon. And no nonsense, like heavy armor, like matte black style. I loved making that character. That was super cool. And she was just real rough and tumble. Khan was like...
Khan was fun.
Dude, I had so much fun on Khan. I think I've talked about the story too multiple times on different media. But like his ultimate was super cool.
Yeah.
And shout outs to my engineer buddy, Jonathan Massey, who is the lead engineer on this. But like... I remember the design I prescribed for the ultimate originally was like Khan plants his feet in the ground, roots himself, extends his like power gauntlet, and then just rips an enemy towards him like a Darth Vader force choke, like get over here. And then while we were Jonathan was like, Ed, you come check this over at my desk. Come check this over at my desk. Let's go. Okay, cool. And then he like the tech worked because Jonathan's a freaking pro, and he like has this guy hovering in front of him in his hand. I was like, oh my god, that's sick. And then he accidentally like hits WASD on the keyboard, and then he moves, and he's like, oh dude, I'm so sorry. Like I know that wasn't part of the spec. And then I was like, no, that is the spec now. Like I want to grab someone and then redirect them and throw. And because we were also working on what was the map with the mines? What was the Paladins map?
Salt mines? No, not salt mines. What's it called? Ice mines. Ice mines?
It was ice.
No.
It was like it had like it had the buzzsaws in it. My LDs would roast me now because I'm forgetting the name. But like all I wanted to No. That was like the restructured ones. It's like rocks and tan quarry vibe. I'm gonna kick myself and probably as soon as this is over remember. But we have the big hazard by the capture point of like the big buzzsaws, and all I wanted to do was like rip I wanted to take Charles and to just take his character he was
Oh,
playing
I know what you're
and
talking
put him
about.
into the buzzsaws with Son. That was my favorite.
I know what you're talking about.
Favorite thing.
I know what map that is.
Yeah, Con was sick.
It was what map was that? It's not Stonekeep. It's not
Stonekeep was also dope.
It's
You know, comments are gonna roast us.
It's not Jaguar.
He's googling it right now. He's like, I'm getting to the bottom.
It's not Jaguar.
No, not Jaguar Falls.
Dude, what's it called?
That was a Jordan Smith classic.
What's it called? That called Splitstone Quarry.
Yeah, Splitstone Quarry. That's what I told you.
Splitstone.
That's what I said, right?
Splitstone Quarry. Oh man. Okay, that's awesome, dude.
Con was sick.
All right, so damage characters. Which damage characters did you design?
Okay, all right. Damage. We've got. Oh, who's this first one? Okay, I did not do that one. I did not do. Okay, so I did Dredge, Drogos, Amani, Kinessa, Strix, Victor, Tyra. Yeah. Those are my damage characters.
Nice characters right there. I gotta say, my favorite is Drogos.
That's the right answer, dude. That's the right answer.
But you designed both snipers. I didn't realize that either.
Yeah.
Was that a necessity? Like you felt like we needed a sniper, and so it's like you were kind of in the
it's snipers and shotguns are like those are like the shooter hot touch point controversy character weapons always because it's just power expressed over a really distinct range.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opinions about like how do you do a sniper well. There's lots of pros and cons. Like data for these characters is always kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes versus what perception is.
Oh, we got to dive into that actually.
Yeah, sure.
Because Apex is dealing with a problem.
Oh, what are they doing?
Well, they have a sniper that has kind of historically been under represented in pick rate and also win rate.
Underrepresented at high level?
At all levels. And so like pretty much a non-popular character, Vantage. And so she's gotten consistent buffs over the course of her life, trying to kind of make her more relevant, her kit more smooth, and also just been struggling with like, how do you make the efficacy of a sniper show up in a way that makes the sniper fun because they are a sniper, but also doesn't hit past the point of so much fun for the sniper, not so much fun for the people being sniped, which is, where she's good.
Oh man, but it's so there's always a give and a take.
Yeah.
In any multiplayer exchange, there's always like if like, the example you're using right now is like, getting one tapped, right?
Yeah.
Is like the experience everyone's like, oh, right? There's a version of that that I could highlight in nearly every exchange. Like usually in a multiplayer game, when you are taking someone out, there is the yin and yang of like, wow, that felt so bad for it to happen to me. But oh my gosh, when I do it to other people,
it's awesome.
It's awesome. Like that's something that multiplayer developers in every genre wrestle with constantly. So it's like a design term for it is like kind of like spiky. You want to design things very spiky. So there's strong feelings both ways.
Got it.
Because if you
strong feeling one way but not the other way.
No. Oh. You want strong feelings both ways.
Right.
Because it is reciprocal like that. There's rarely a strong feeling only one way.
Right.
So when people balance things and then they just compress, they're like if
so
the
no
range of emotion, yes, no strong feelings is what you don't want.
And that's I think where she sits.
That's a bummer. Nobody really wants that. If I tried to project myself as a former
what would your thought be?
Also, shout outs to Apex. Apex is a freaking awesome game. It is beautiful. Your guys' movement and gunplay is like insane.
Yeah.
On Paladins, we would like. Okay, this is totally a tangent. I remember the moment like almost to the point of like it was a traumatic moment for me when Apex Legends did their initial launch shadow drop because my whole team, we were watching that and we were like, oh my God, we are screwed.
We are cooked.
But yeah, Apex is freaking awesome.
I'm cutting that out, by the way. So they're just going to think you hate them. Yeah.
But okay, so if I project myself into the sniper situation, I would guess that. So if you're saying the history of this character is a lot of like buffs over a long period of time.
Exactly.
In spite of poor representation at high level gameplay.
Yeah.
Okay. So those symptoms to me would indicate that in casuals, that character overperforms.
Really?
And that the buffs are cosmetic in a sense that, okay, we need, because the audience thinks, because they don't see this character represented in the competitive play,
Interesting.
right, that they're like, oh, we have to somehow get the players to try this character again. Numbers say that this character does really well in casual lobbies, non-competitive, at whatever echelons. For us, it was snipers would they were underperform at like low eel and overperform at high elo, because it's like really skill dependent. And most people can't deal with the opportunity cost of like losing all that vision when you're scoped in. So that's what I would estimate is going on behind the scenes. That being said, I don't have access to your metrics. So.
No, I know, but you know what's interesting? This last patch, her buff was actually losing that scoped in up to close range. So
we did that too on Kinessa.
Did you? Yeah.
That was a choice.
What was the intention behind your choice though? Was it to make it more casual friendly when she was in situations where like only a pro player is going to?
No, that choice was actually made when she was overperforming. So that was a nerf. So she was actually, her scope was not in enough, which because it's like, okay, when you're scoped in for Kinessa specifically, that's when she has access. She is her most lethal, right? When she is down scope with full charge. She's a charge-based sniper. So the less magnification on that zoom means you have a wider field of view. You can deal with the most amount of threats. So by zooming in, you reduce the amount of threats that you can react to and increase the squeal requirement of when a player needs to zoom in. So it is and like really good people still make the right decisions and can still flick and do all that stuff. But it was that change was made so it was to make it harder. That was an intentional nerf.
Okay, so it's kind of interesting that you said the first part about why Vantage you think might be getting the buffs and being cosmetic. Meaning there's something that isn't meant to actually bump the character's ability to succeed really much higher than it is, but it's meant to bring attention to the player base that this character has some value. Hey, this character's getting some fun stuff. Check her out, because if more people play her, which you're positioning, they're not playing her because they never see her, and the assumption is she's not good. Once more people play her, they think that she's going to be in a fine spot, but they don't want a character sitting at basically a nil play rate and knowing that she's performing well.
Yeah, there's all sorts of changes like that try to re-energize people around specific characters, maybe that are off meta or haven't been touched, and like, you know, the goal, right, is all, like, ideally, all of your characters have like an even play rate. But I've never seen a game where that's the case. So
hey, did you ever in Paladins rework a character?
Did I personally ever rework a character?
I mean, while you were
that
there,
had like been published already.
Did it have to happen? I mean, you were doing so many characters at the time.
Ooh, did we? I don't think we were into that like arc of our content cycle.
Okay.
I think we were still churning and burning, getting characters out, trying, because content is king. We talked about it earlier. Like in this competitive market space, players like in these types of games, players love characters. Like that's your premier piece of whatever.
Ying?
Did we rework Ying? She deploys illusions and they. I think she still does, right?
She does. This is
burst mirror weapon, right?
She has the burst mirror, but I thought she had, maybe it's just because the reworks change. It's not really a rework because you're just adding different.
We modify the characters a lot through like the legendary cards,
legendaries, right? Exactly.
So we kind of got away with a little bit that way.
Okay.
Maybe
Grok.
I might have been at least a part of the project, right? When we redid. Oh, did we redo Grok?
See. I think, I don't know.
What do you remember of Grok?
I remember
Lightning Staff,
heal, And then, but
Totem.
again, totem, bouncing chain.
Yep.
And then, lightning bolt.
I think we reworked his ultimate.
I think his ultimate got reworked.
Surging with
He could go up and down.
Yes, we're just like
everywhere.
Make him fly,
yeah, you gave him fly.
Yeah. That was sick.
Okay, so I guess my question is Apex, and this is just, again, these are just interesting things for like the Apex community, and then we can kind of move on. But like,
No, I love it. Yeah, please.
coming up, they've launched their season path, and they have a new character, right? They have, I think a new map is talked about, but then they also have a rework coming. And I was just thinking from a design perspective, what would be the place where you would say we need to rework? What kind of stats or what kind of things would be happening behind the scenes where you go,
great question.
We need to rework this instead of, fixing what's there?
So if you wanted to boil it down, I think that there's a number of compounding things, but basically for me, I would rework a character if nothing I've done via those like balance changes we talked about is moving play rate.
Okay.
Like play rate at the end of
Play
win
rate particularly.
Win rate is important.
Yeah.
It's important. But play rate, and it can be cyclical, right? Like things like sometimes things go up, sometimes things go down.
Right.
But if like there's a character that is just like at the bottom of those charts for many, many months or seasons, like, hey, something's got to be done here. And it's terrifying, by the way, to rework a character because no matter what you do, that is someone's favorite character.
That's true.
So, and this is a thing that this is one of the reasons why I actually wanted to work at Riot and ended up working at Riot is because they did a series of videos where they do like dev behind the scenes stuff of their character reworks because they wanted to show their audience what they would go through, and like they did not take it lightly. They took it extremely seriously to the point where like it looked like the developers were in fear. They were like they were scared of
how are people going to react to this?
Yes, they were because they respected their audience so much.
Yeah.
And like the fanfare that develops around these characters, right? The people that want to play these characters for who they are, what they represent, either their image or their moment-to-moment gameplay.
Yeah.
Because then that person associates their self with that. So
Right.
in a way, you like a developer has the ability to change someone's perspective on themselves in a roundabout fashion.
Yeah.
And oftentimes like that can be like high friction.
Wow.
Like when something you care about that much has like, it's because like, what's the definition of stress, right?
Yeah.
Is like being responsible or impacted by things that you have no control over.
True. No, that's a great point because I think just a little bit of a lens behind the scenes is always helpful of what goes on into making those decisions, and also like behind the scenes of the people doing it, right? Again, developers, they get the athlete syndrome. In my opinion, they are not treated as fun friends. They're treated as you either do it right or not, and we're either okay with your performance or not. But they are people behind the scenes, of course. At the end,
we are people.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's one of the hardest things. I think one of the hardest things too, and obviously, I want to give you a chance to talk about after this your favorite champion that you made, and again, you haven't mentioned already, but also one of the big learning lessons you made from making a champion. Those are the two things I want to get to before we start shifting, and I want to have you watch something. The thought process around you said I lost my train of thought because we were saying we have. Well, it'll come back to me. If it's really. Let's actually dive into that. So, what's your favorite champion that you made? Obviously, we have supports and flanks left. I see a flank I think you really like, but I don't know if that was your favorite champion.
Dude, I feel like you're just reading me like a book. So, let's burn through the other characters I've done, and then we can talk about favorites. Okay. So supports, I did Furia, I did Moji. I did Saris.
I remember Saris, yep.
Those were my supports.
Okay.
And then I oversaw, when I was lead design, I oversaw like Grok rework. I oversaw IO development. I oversaw Genos. That was a Charles special. Those are old school. Yeah. So those are the ones I've most directly influenced. And then flanks. So I am personally responsible for, let's see here. I did Maeve. I did Zin.
Oh.
And that's actually all.
That's it.
I'm pretty light on the flanks. And then I oversaw, I think I oversaw the Buck rework, and I oversaw Koga, and I oversaw Talus. Actually, I'm pretty light in the flank category.
I feel like Sky might have also gotten an ultimate rework at some point. She had something.
Is it not Time Bomb anymore?
It is, but I feel like it changed the way that Sky Bomb. Again, any of those really early characters had the most amount of time and chance.
We changed a lot.
Yeah,
and we changed a lot with live player bases. That was kind of our thing.
Yeah, man. But Maven's in. Those were two very impactful flankers. They're two very, very fun flankers to play. I know you had a special place in your heart for Maeve, and she was a lot of fun in play tests to play against, especially as a Drogo. So I'm sure you got a bunch of guys in the sky on that one, and they're having some nightmares on it.
The answer to the question you asked me, which is like, what are your favorite characters? It's a tie between Maeve and Drogos.
Maeve and Drogos.
Those are my two favorite characters.
Those are two great characters, man. I mean, the play style of those characters is really, really fun. Was it like kind of what inspired the way that you, because I will say that Drogos is an archetype, but Maeve is kind of like not quite. Like you don't always have a blade
Nimble
dancing.
Assassin.
Yeah,
Nimble Assassin is totally an archetype.
Yeah,
I appreciate that you think it's more unique than that, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, considering the fact that we didn't have a blaster that could fly, and we did have Sky.
Using the category names there, busting out the blasters.
We didn't have a blaster that could fly, but we did have a Sky, and there's other. I think the fact is like those are two great characters. Was it filling archetypes? Was it more than that you found that your process of bringing them to life? Because I think for a lot of people in Paladins, those would be two top characters of theirs.
Well, that's awesome to hear. God, what was the process like? Well, what did I want with those characters?
How does it start when you're like designing a character? Like,
it's different now. So I made those a long time ago.
Yeah, that's true.
I was also pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty fresh to the design space. So, which maybe was a good thing.
Yeah,
where I was like I wanted to take risks and stuff like that. But so, Drogo's was Drogo's was so cool. Did I do? Yeah, Drogo's was first because I did Kinessa was my first character.
Okay.
Then it was Drogo's, and then I think I did Maeve shortly after. There might have been a couple characters in between, but So what I wanted with Drogo's was the I am the rocket launcher character, and I'm going to be above my opponents.
Right.
Shooting rockets down below is an arena character experience that extends all the way back to like Quake.
Yeah, from the very beginning, right?
And then it's like Soldier in TFT is a great example of this. Farah from Overwatch is a great example of this. These are all like versions of this archetype. That is just the moment to moment gameplay is really satisfying. The like leading slow traveling projectiles. And then they finally connect with like a big damage payoff.
Yeah, dude.
And then shout outs to Erez. Erez is the CEO, owner of Hi-Rez. I think the nicest thing Erez ever said to me was he was in a playtest and he used the Drogo's ult and he chuckled to him. He was like, hey, that's fun.
That's fun.
And I was like a new designer. I was like, oh, let's go.
Yes.
Dude. Let's go. Because I remember explaining to a whole room of engineers and artists as a new designer. I was like, okay, we have this dragon character. He's going to pop a jetpack, and then fly at a crazy speed and then punch someone in the face so hard they die. And they were like, where did you get this guy again?
Where did you get this guy? What the heck? Oh my God.
Oh, a dragon.
By con, they were ready for you. They knew already. They're like,
my
this
brand
is
was established.
Drogo's brother.
And I always remember walking the voice actor. I was like, no, I want you to say, behold the dragon's fury like this.
Yeah.
And they're probably rolling their eyes like, oh. But dude, when like you hear the,
behold the dragon's fury.
I worked with Noah. Shout outs to Noah, the sound designer, on the spooling / mechanical nature of the sound. Because you want a big tell, right? In these crazy chaotic arena shooter space, it's like, and it's like, behold the dragon's fury. And he just shoots off and it's off to the races. Dude. Yeah, I don't know. I get so stoked talking about that stuff.
And it's fun to play. I mean, to see people play. Is it more fun to play live in game or to see people playing it?
Oh, dude, that's a core question. I get a lot of enjoyment. My dopamine unlocks when I see people enjoying things that I made. Enjoying things. It's weird as a designer to enjoy the things you made too much because you start to get into the space of like,
Am I
is
just
this ego?
Yeah.
Is this ego? Am I just making shit for me?
Yeah, exactly.
So now anytime I have fun with things I do, I'm always like, get this away from me. Someone else try this.
Someone else see if it's fun. Yeah.
Fair. And then Maeve was really special because I wanted to create a character who was, so the archetype here, right, is this nimble assassin.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind, right, for people familiar in the space, right, is probably like a Genji.
Yeah.
Right, where it's kind of like a weird projectile experience. Combined with like some mobility tools and like high burst potential.
Right.
And it's like, okay, cool. With those pillars, what can we do that's unique and special and cool? And I remember beating myself up a lot about the like, can I just make an ability that gives you your other abilities back again? Because she just hits her Q and she just resets the cooldowns on her other ones. And it's like, it's kind of one-dimensional, but like if the other two abilities are sick as hell, then like doing more things that are sick as hell, that's a fun decision to make.
True.
It's like it's like a mini ultimate almost.
Yeah.
So the reset was super cool. And it was a really satisfying sound. So
it was a satisfying
I love audio.
Sound. Yeah, it was a satisfying sound.
Whooshing. And then her ultimate, which was like, that was like, I can't take credit for that. That was totally Shibalanke from Smite. That was my favorite. That was the ADC I played in Smite.
Yeah.
I love throwing those bolas. And then the in-hand, the throwing knives were, so the core, right? The core nitty-gritty of like, how do we get a kind of melee-esque assassin power fantasy into a game about shooting? So for Genji, right, it was throwing stars. They had the whole ninja aesthetic.
Right.
And we had this like street urchin kind of like child just like out there alone.
You ever read Mistborn?
Okay, I was literally about to make a literary reference. It wasn't Mistborn. My reference was actually did you read Rothfuss, Kingkiller?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when Kavoth is on the streets of Tarbin, like just on his loan. That's what I pictured Maeve.
Okay.
Like kind of like chilling on rooftops, like
Interesting.
looking out over. But so actually I haven't read the full Mistborn. Shout out to Sanderson.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. By the way, he got the show deal or the show
He
and
did.
movie deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's gonna be
stoked,
fun,
dude. I'm so pumped for that.
Stormlight, baby, it's coming.
Yeah, I've read Stormlight.
Yeah. I got it right there. This is the one I have. No, this is the Rhythm of War. Yeah, I've read that one. You guys could see it. It's
Dalinar.
is that right?
I'm a Dalinar, fanboy. The Blackthorn, dude.
Big fan of Dalinar.
Big heavy armor, big weapon, dude. That's
we're in the archetype.
That's my shit, dude. That's my shit. Sorry, I'm getting distracted.
No, it's all good, man.
We were talking about Maeve.
Well, I want to shift to, at least right now, the learning opportunity. I think.
Oh yeah, smart.
We know the character that you wanted to talk about.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. What's your takeaway?
Okay, so we're talking about, folks, we're talking about Moji here. Moji
Yeah.
was my character. It's the character that is in my portfolio of characters that I was just really unhappy with. How well, not so much I was unhappy with how it's received, right? Like how it was received initially made perfect sense to me.
Okay.
Because I was really just unhappy with, I didn't feel like I achieved what I wanted to.
Okay.
But I had to just make sacrifices because of
The time constraint?
Yeah, because of the time constraints.
Because it was one of the 17.
It was one of the where
the-
we're just like, dude, we had if you know production, we had like Gantt charts. We were working on like across the team, like 6 characters at the same time.
Jeez.
In some form or another.
Wow.
Right? So Moji was mine and I dropped that ball. She was not as cool as I think she could have been. The creative side of the project was like super stoked on this idea of like a double character, right? Where we had like a super non-traditional weapon experience with 2 heads, and it's a character riding another character, right? Very whimsical, like over the top. And I was like, oh, there could be this cool like yin and yang, A and B like dot debuff. There's a name for it, I can't remember. Mechanic that we could do with the main hand offhand setup. But I failed to see that just like the moment to moment mechanical experience of that ultimately at the time wasn't super fun. I think I got caught up in what I wanted the design achieve.
Yeah.
And I wasn't honest with myself about like what it was actually achieving. And then I remember we were struggling with one of the ability slots, which ended up being, I think they reworked it actually
Did they?
Since. Yeah.
Okay.
I think she's way cooler now. I think they made her support actually.
Oh, cool.
Which like vibe wise probably feels
Probably makes the most sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember just like I had a really moment of defeat on one of the ability slots. Like we were pushing up against the time constraints of like having to get this character out to meet our goals. And it's like, okay, she just hits a button, she goes invincible for a second. And like the presentation of it, like team killed it again. They helped me out there. But like we define our flanks or excuse me, I am not on the project anymore. We defined our project on Paladins as like really high power in brief windows, usually short range.
Yeah.
With paired with high mobility options and brief periods of extreme survivability. That's like the core of a flank recipe.
Yeah.
Basically. And I totally was just like, well, she hits a button and she's immune.
And she felt like a damage in that way.
Yeah, because I wanted that. Yeah. I wanted one projectile to you or expunge the dots on it, and it's like, okay, well maybe that's I don't know.
Hey, I mean, she was fun, man. I all these things are like you in the mix. You know, it's hard to again take yourself out of your own experience of the design because some people are just relating to what it is, and when you have 15 characters coming out, there's not as much thought on each individual character as there would be if it was only one. And in that same way, it makes it harder to put out some of the best characters that you possibly could. It also means that feedback is restrained a little bit because, you know, you got another character in 2 weeks. And I think that's a realistic thing, you know, and I personally don't remember going through that thought process with Moji. Maybe some people do, but she didn't really feel like she was missing. She did feel like she was a different character and also didn't really change the dynamic of Paladins much, but I still remember her being played and I still remember her having some fun. And, you know, at the certain point, there's also a certain point in games where you do not need any more archetype characters and it's just not even worth it anymore to try to keep giving another like person with a random straight up gun.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, took the try at that. Great. Rather have that than, you know, Victor and Tyra's, you know, long lost, you know, kid who comes up and his name is like, you know, Richter or something, you know, or I don't know, but I just didn't need that. So
we might be onto something.
There we go. There we go. Abandoned by his parents in the woods, the frozen tundra of the Eastern European woods. He's come back for vengeance. So,
are you a voice actor?
No, but if you want to hire me,
I think you're pretty good.
If you want to hire me, come on.
We might have some opportunities, dude. You never know.
Hey, you know I'm down. You know where to find me. So, okay, I want to do this next thing because there's a few things that I think are interesting to kind of cap out Paladins. There's really 2 points I want to hit because I think we haven't talked esports at all. And I really do want to touch on that a little bit. And I do want to talk about where Paladins is now. I mean, I think anyone who's been on Paladins.
And how we got there?
Yeah, and kind of what's going on. Because I think, like, actually, it's interesting. I'd love your thoughts on, like, where it is. Because the game's, a lot of people pull servers and they say the game's done. The game's still out. You can play it. It's just not getting any updates. Just curious your thoughts professionally on that. Maybe why that's happening from a conjecture standpoint. And, you know, can people expect anything? Probably not, but can they? And the other thing I want to do is talk about just, again, something that I want you to react to. So I need you to do this. This is not going to happen anything to your physical body. I'm just going to play something, but I don't want you to see it till I play it. Okay. So when you hear the sound of the video, you can open your eyes.
Okay, so I should close my eyes.
Yep. Yeah, so let me set up the scene. Okay, here's the deal. All right, again.
What do we got, dude? What are we cooking up here?
Okay, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
I can't see.
And when
anything.
you hear,
hey everyone, my name is Hi-Rez Martini here for the Paladins team, and in OB64 we have some very large and exciting card changes coming.
Oh yes!
So we've been gathering your guys' feedback, and we've identified that we have a lot of people that love Paladins for different reasons. We have a group of people that really enjoy the competitive aspects of it, and we also have a group of people that really enjoy this kind of customizable deck building experience that you can do in our game. We have a solution that meets both these groups' needs. So the first change is that we're going to be removing essence as a currency. We feel that this system wasn't beneficial for our dedicated players and also was confusing for our new players. Now, I know you guys have been stockpiling a lot of essence, so when this change goes out, we are going to be reimbursing all of your essence as gold in a 1-to-1 ratio. In OB64, essence is now gone, and we will be giving every player every loadout card and every legendary for free. In addition, we are going to introduce one new legendary card for every champion. Let's get into the next major change, where we are going to be totally revamping our casual queue into the new quick play queue. In OB64, now getting duplicates of cards is going to increase permanently those cards' power levels in our non-ranked mode. Previously we felt that getting duplicate essence wasn't as great of an experience as it could have been. So now, as you acquire duplicates of cards, you're going to make them stronger over time. Loadout cards are now going to have 5 levels instead of the previous 4. For all of our existing players, we appreciate that you guys have been playing our game and have already acquired a large majority of all the cards currently available. So what we'll be doing is giving you the rank 3 version of each card you currently own, in addition to the rank 3 version of every legendary you also own. The new 5 levels card system only applies to the non-ranked game modes. In ranked, as soon as you enter it, all of your loadout and legendary cards will be set to level 3. Another change is with the card system and the point limits. So previously, you could walk into any of our games with a 12-point loadout.
This is painful.
Now, with the new card system, you're going to be able to walk into a game with a 25-point deck, should you have all the cards at that level. This is an awesome opportunity to customize your decks even further, however you guys want, and I'm really excited to see what you come up with.
Card art.
And remember, while playing in ranked mode, all of your
cool.
loadout and legendary cards will be set to level 3. Wow, so that was a lot.
Wow.
Now, we've always been community first here at Hi-Rez Studios.
Thanks.
And
Wow.
with Paladins, we want to make sure that everyone is on board with these changes. That's why we're going to extend the PTS.
Can you see the
for an
reflection
entire
of like the
week
gun
to
being
gather
pointed
your
at me
feedback
in my
and
glasses right now,
forward
dude?
with the system.
Oh,
In OB64,
no.
we'll be disabling the ability to purchase Radiant chests and Champion card chests with crystals, and you can acquire them by purchasing them with gold or by just playing the game. Well, that about wraps it up for OB64, guys. Let us know your feedback on the forums and the Reddit. We always want to know what you're saying. I'm Hi-Rez Martini, and I'll see you next time in the realm.
You did not want to. Okay, here's the truth. You did not want to know what they were saying after that because you already knew.
Oh,
Well, okay. What was the response, bro?
we've been saying that for. Sorry.
Dude, what was your process there? Because obviously, you know.
That was a rough time, okay,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the dev team. And yeah, dude. So where do we even start? Historically,
Paladins was in a spot.
we were in a spot.
What was the spot? I'm not sure everyone even know. I mean, is it possible to even talk about the spot or like?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I can talk about it, and like all of everything I talk about should be evidenced
Yeah.
by any observational parties that are just like looking at the situation. So,
Sure.
What Paladins always struggled with as a business was like how profitable it was relative to the amount of players it had.
Right.
There's lots of ways to cut this data.
Sure.
There's lots of fingers to point, like who or what to blame. And just, but the brass tacks of it was like relative to the money being spent on the project, studio leadership was never happy with the money that Paladins was making.
Right.
So there was always pressure, right, to like, okay, what can we
Monetize.
push on? How can we change this? And that leads people to certain conclusions, as you see manifested in the wonderful video we just watched, where the core systems that players interact in the game then have a monetization access, which in game development, right, is like, at least in Western game development, is really like reserved.
Taboo.
It's super taboo.
Yeah.
Like the phrase, right, pay to win,
Right.
like comes to mind
Right.
frequently. Tastes shift and differ, and there's gray area, all
Yeah.
sorts of ways to cut it.
Games like Genshin were really popular for basically how much ever money you spend, you're
Yeah.
leveling your thing up. But,
Totally.
you know.
And it is like, I'm not a Genshin player, but
I don't think it's directly, but it's still very obvious that it is. And because again, you weren't putting it in the competitive mode, you're putting it in the casual mode, but it's still, you know,
yeah, those were all those were
Trying to
all
make a bad
elements of
situation
like
not
us
so bad.
trying to fight the like, okay, how do we like make this not suck
Right.
as much as we think it's gonna suck?
right.
Which is a weird thing to say as the people that were publishing the game. Like, dude, I had so much. I don't know if you could see.
I can see it in your face, man. I wanted to let you talk first, but observing your face, you look like you're like about to almost cry.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're emotional. I can see the emotion.
I shed tears over like what went down with that patch. So
yeah, bro.
that I think it was literally screen grabs from that video that we just watched. God, if we could take us back. So we probably just pushed the patch. Like the internet, all of our players, understandably so, are like erupting. It's like, what is this betrayal? You're going to try and charge us money for like the cards, right, that you had in this game previously,
right?
And like the more money we give you, the better the cards get. Was it like that's the core relationship?
That's the core
relationship. We can frame things a whole bunch of other ways, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like, and then I am the one on camera having to communicate. Like, my charge was to like be like, that was not a decision that anyone on the team was like coming to leadership. Like, hey, you know what we can do?
Yeah,
we can have people pay for cards, guys. But I was the one who I got to own it.
Yeah.
And I got to own it on that video, and all subsequent patch note shows and stuff after that. So I was in a really weird place. And that video specifically, there was a screen grab on one of the big news sites or something. Again, this is young Garrett. I was way more youthful back then, and I, breaking into the industry as a design role on this up and coming character shooter, and I wasn't. My idea of how I wanted my
to
first
be perceived,
right? And literally the first article that I was like the focus of was, hey, this is the lead game designer. I think, was it like a Kotaku or a Dexterra or something like that? It was my face with like Paladins Institute's like pay to win system. Here's the words from the lead designer who implemented or something like that. And I was just like, I was crushed. Bro. I was absolutely crushed reading that. I remember
that's a different kind of pain.
I mean,
because you're holding it back from other people. Like, you could spill the beans and say this is a me and point fingers and all that, but you're Dalinaring this moment. You're holding the like weight of the whole
that was my pain.
Effort,
that was my pain,
and no one gets to know.
But hey, like listen. I was a new lead designer on a project. Leadership was like, hey, we have this thing we want you to oversee. I didn't really build it.
Hell of a word.
But I those were my marching orders. And like, it was really contentious on the team.
Yeah.
Obviously I want everyone to know that like, the team didn't want to do anything of that patch. And every time then I was in the spot of, I have to then translate our directives to a group of developers who believe what they're being told to work on is actively going to kill the thing they love.
Right. Work on this thing that might even make you have no job.
Yeah, I had to throw my hands up in the air, and I was like, I hate everything about this.
Yeah.
And that like recording that video. Shout outs Dustin, who was our videographer at the time. But he if it felt like I was reading off of a script, it was because I was so terrified of what I was saying, how every little thing was going to be perceived. And then then that article hits. And I remember I sent that article to the game director at the time.
Yeah.
Shout out Dale Flowers. And again, we can bleep these names out.
Sure.
If we need to. I'll follow up with people if they think it's cool. But Dale Flowers is a super awesome person. He was instructed of trying to keep the project together, and I sent that to him, and I was like, "This really sucks, man." And he said, "I remember his words, word for word." He said, "Garrett, on behalf of every decent human being at this studio and this team, I am so fucking sorry." And I read that sentence from him, and I just had to get up from my desk, and I went and I cried in my car, and I was like, "Okay, okay."
Oh man.
And it was like, can I do anything to change this? Like, I felt so powerful. Like, I was just getting run over time and time again. I would be like, hey, this is why this is bad for XYZ reasons. Mm-hmm. If this is a business and you want players, these are the types of decisions, right? That lose you players. And I don't know. I was super young. I was talking to like career business people.
Yeah.
And
Who admittedly have been and were successful, and have track records to say why they're right.
I don't know. I was not as heavy a voice in that room, or those rooms, as maybe I could have been, and maybe that's on me.
Learning lesson.
But that was a really weird thing for me to navigate at that point in my career. And I remember, if you guys remember, right, silver lining here is we ripped all that shit out.
It's true.
Eventually,
yeah.
It was super painful.
67, I think, you got it out
expensive. But I want to shout out Hi-Rez Alyssa, who was the community manager at the time. She was basically the reason why that like saved that, because so we were all in a conference room with like studio leadership and brass. It was like all the key stakeholders on the Paladins project. And again, this is like they're making the business case why this system is like the best and why it has to work. It will work, right? We will see numbers go up over time. And we had like shipped it and like nothing. It was like net nothing.
Change,
and it's like, oh, cool, that's great. We went through all that and pissed off everyone, and nothing happened. And then I was getting run over. I couldn't get any. I can make any grounds into the argument.
Right.
No one cared what I had to say.
Right.
And then Alyssa made a really passionate, like, she super, like, coming from a player standpoint. It was like desperation, like panicked almost, like was super emotional about like players were eating themselves alive over this stuff. And that was the hair that broke, or like the final thing that broke the dam.
Back.
Whatever the metaphor is. And just everyone in the room was like, "Oh my God, you just like thank you so much for doing that."
Yeah.
But everyone else tried. So
it's amazing, man. It's amazing when you're in a situation like that, and you have those singular moments that shift a dynamic that, again, another fork in the road. Could have continued that way.
Could have.
It's not, and I think we ended up having, listen, that was towards the end of, not the end of my time, but it was we were well midway within Paladin's life cycle for me. But I think that as we looked at like kind of what we were developing, the game had so much potential across not just the actual game, but it felt like a waste for, and I think you guys separated for competitive for that reason, because our esports was so good. I mean, our esports teams, our ecosystem,
magic.
We had such great organizations that were represented. Our league obviously was funded a bajillion different ways. Todd Harris, kind of a magician with figuring out funding for that. We were on Mixer for a year. We were on Facebook for a year.
Oh my God.
We were on Twitch for 2 years. And we kept these amazing orgs. We developed some great players, guys like Phoenix, who was a world champion. He's cast him in Apex all the time.
I love that storyline.
See him at LANs all the time. And you get to have these moments and build a career off of that. Certainly, that's where my career launched, and I'm very thankful for it. But it's also like saying one of the things about esports is integrity and the fact that you have a competition, and so that definitely I know rubbed you the wrong way from not just the design standpoint, but from the competitive integrity standpoint, because you were a big fan of our esports, and it was a pretty
huge fan.
And from let's take a dark point in OB64, there was a lot of light points in the moments that we got to have on the esports scene, and
some of the best points, I would argue, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to mind, because I have a maybe a moment or two, but what comes to mind in terms of the esports that you remember, the Paladins esports days?
Okay, I remember so much. Experiencing the esports is one side of the thing. It's also working with and talking with players behind the scenes
100%.
Is another angle of dope stuff. I remember we had visiting players to the studio once, and I think I forgot what team it was, but I had to ferry Elven Path between
Elven
the main
Path,
studio,
D69. Oh my God!
And a satellite studio we were at for recording,
Elven Path.
and we were all squashed in my little car,
my God.
booking it down. And I think there was another team member. That was awesome.
Shout outs D69 crew.
I forgot what PWC it was, but I think what is it? no, it wasn't Virtus. It was not as sincere. Was it Navi that won?
Are you talking about
whoever won, or I don't even think they won, but the Australian team
Kanga
made me drink beer out of a shoe.
Kanga, you did a shoey for the Aussies.
Yeah. So
wow.
I still remember that.
Wow.
And I'm admitting to that on camera.
And
so
Kanga's a really successful. Hades took that team and is that organ. They're still really successful in esports and they're doing really well.
Good. And also Nick Hi-Rez Pretty Hair was a part of that peer pressure as well. So
and I don't know.
You're not getting out of this unscathed either, bud.
I know. I don't know if you know Chronix, or there's a couple of players who were actually there, and I think they've transitioned to other professional esports. I think Valorant, pretty successfully. So we have a lot of.
That's awesome.
We have, and we
I didn't
have,
even know that.
Yeah, we have some other like Sadak, and from my God, they were a Brazilian team. Why am I forgetting? Nocturnes Gaming. They he's on Valorant as well, and I've seen some of these guys. I mean, the overlap and the correlation with the talent, but also the people who were a part of that game and now have found success out there. There's a high amount of.
I wonder if they've actually played Adonis Kevin's characters. So in a weird way,
probably
played his characters.
Yeah, they
in
keep
both
playing
games.
Kevin's characters.
Shout out Kevin. Love you, dude.
That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, yeah, I think casting and Hi-Rez go together, and I think all the beautiful things of Paladins have led it to where it is. Again, I feel like going back in time would be fun, but I would prefer it to be a dream, not to be a reality. I think if Paladins launched 2.0 and came out into the world, I wouldn't know what to do with it because I wouldn't know if I'd want to invest in a hero shooter again. I don't know if that would be the next thing for me. I don't know if that'd be the next evolution, but it would be great to have the option. It would be really cool to be able to jump in and see that game either have a comeback or have a moment or an opportunity. But
do you know something that I don't know?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I wish cut this to Paladins 2.0 dropping. But I mean, I've said that a lot about Hi-Rez, and I think for me, Hi-Rez is ultimately such a positive for me. I don't think that there's another place in the industry at the time that it was there. I don't know if there's another place in the industry now that will ever be like how Hi-Rez was then, which was an opportunity for people to jump into the game development experience across multiple disciplines. Video editing. Andy's at Nintendo. He's been there for a long time. You see, esports and that transitioning to designer careers. From Rory, you see Nick now working at Pretty Hair, working at Fortnite. Mackenzie producing. She's over at Epic as well. You transitioning to Riot. Me going full-time content, but also working so much with EA. And all of those stories, Kevin, Adonis going to Riot. You got Charles. He's been at Blizzard for a long time, right?
Yep.
I mean, all of these people that have worked across discipline, across various aspects, gotten into Hi-Rez in different ways, but then have still found success and legs and roots in the gaming industry. I mean, the privilege of getting the opportunity is something that I think is so important to acknowledge. But also, I think for me, the story of Hi-Rez is maybe some missed opportunities in some incredible IP that when you really look at it, could have gone the distance and didn't go the distance. But man, they created some amazing moments.
Yeah, man. It's like we've touched on, right? Hindsight can always be 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But time and time again, Hi-Rez they were always playing with the ingredients to go nuclear.
Yeah.
Of
they were.
Whatever it was. And they had interesting takes. And there's something special in everything they made. And a lot of that is because of the people that we just went over, working on those projects.
True.
Folks that got chances and shots myself, right?
Yeah.
Who I had no traditional training in this space.
Right.
But through happenstance found their way into making things that millions of people ended up loving.
Yeah.
It was really special. It was really magical. And then also we glossed over, but dude, shout outs Charles. Okay, I want to give a brief shout out to Charles, Butt Thief, if you remember. That was his game name, and he would Butt Thief would sneak into some Paladins footage, and the chat would be wait, was this Butt Thief? Dude, what's
snuck
Butt
in?
Thief? Yeah, dude.
Pause.
I remember you. I got you, Charles.
Pause.
He's a freaking I think lead encounter
because he made the most annoying things to fight.
Dude, and it makes perfect sense.
And is he in Diablo?
He works on Diablo now,
and I love Diablo,
he's a
man.
lead encounter designer. So now his job is to just kill you as the player.
Yeah, I love it.
He loves to kill
when you're
players.
dying, when those freaking swords from the season fly out of that. Charles, Stop it.
Oh, dude, can I tell a story here?
Yeah.
Okay,
please.
so I caught up with Charles. Maybe it was a year ago now. Jeez. Okay, that was a while ago. But I went to Irvine. I had a meet with someone else who I was setting up my current company. And I caught up with Charles. Like, dude, I'm in Irvine. We gotta get dinner or something. And then he was like, okay, Garrett, and he's a super analytical, super smart guy. His desk is like always filled with billions of yellow notepads, writing everything down. He's like, okay, Garrett, I've designed a number of bosses in Diablo. I heard you play through the campaign. Based on what you know of my design style, which boss do you think was mine? And I was like, okay, which boss is the most annoying? That just like jacks up the player in the like most creative. Like, what's the most creative way that a boss just like ruins my day?
Right.
And I'm totally blanking on the name right now, so I'm gonna get roasted. That's on me. But I can describe it. It was the one where it's like you're in the church. You've played through the campaign, right?
Of this new one?
Diablo 4.
Diablo 4, the original campaign.
Yeah. Okay. And sorry, spoilers for anyone who hasn't.
Yeah.
But you're in the church and you go outside and it's the like boss that like he just surrounds you with tornadoes and like chains you and roots you and disappears and blinks in and out of existence. And I was like, that was you, Charles.
That was you.
And he's like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, you got me.
And I was like, I knew it. Because he was the one, maybe this is a deep cut, but Paladins players, if you remember the like bot game modes we would have, and then we would have like, here, you're going to load into Frog Isle with like 6 invisible bucks flying throughout the stage, shooting you, and you can't see them or something like that. That was Charles just as like a maniacal, like, yes, how can I destroy these players?
6
so
bucks.
Yeah, shout out Charles, love you.
It's a fun role. And it's like there's a lot of roles in game development that if you have a passion, you're good at something, you can kind of find your space in the industry. But you need the chance, and not everybody gets a chance. That's why Paladins gave me a chance, it gave you a chance, and I think Hi-Rez is, it's given a lot of great people chances. So a big shout out to everybody who's been involved, and it'd be fun to do a 10-year reunion or 15-year reunion one of these days and get everybody somewhere at the same time to all share some stories. For me, I kind of also want to make sure that while we're here now, we've talked everywhere we've been, that we talk a little bit about what you're up to now and like where are we going with not just games, but what have you angled your mind on? Because obviously the story is you've not been with Riot for a couple years now. You've been working secretly, silently on something very exciting. I've had a chance to play it. I will say it's really fun, and I think it's going to be successful. I think you guys will be successful, and that's saying a lot in this day and age. I hope too that you guys are excited about the project. I'm sure you are, but
we can see the light now.
Yeah, you can see the light.
We've been in the mines for the better half of the last 2 years.
Yeah,
year and 4 months, year and 5 months, something like that. But yeah, man, that's appreciated. And by the time that people are seeing this, like we're probably we're going to be totally out in the open and things like that.
Awesome.
But so after Riot, myself and a number of friends I made at that studio, we all set off to kind of do our own thing. We came together. I met some very talented people. Some people so talented, in fact, that I was basically like, okay, we're going to start a company and we're going to build a game that I actually, as historically a career-long designer, trust these people to do all the designing for myself. Wow. I hands off the design side of the project, and I'm gonna run kind of business ops, publishing, admin style of the company. So I kind of gave that up in order to make this thing a reality.
Wow.
Along with a number of other wonderful risks as well, because if I don't know if you're paying attention, but gaming is crazy right now. And companies are dying left and right. Teams are failing left and right.
Yeah.
And we're maybe on the forefront of kind of a wave of people that are kind of just chips on our shoulders, very determined. We still think we can make something happen. We are going to try and do something like regardless of all this chaos,
Sure.
and all this bad stuff that is happening to the industry side of the thing right now, because we believe that games are, they are still a great, like, just way to enjoy your time as people on this earth. We believe in games, and we're going to keep making them because of what we love. So we've taken on a ton of risk. The 2020 Tiger King meme where it's like that thing's like, I'm never going to financially recover from this. Like, that's like me and my founders now, where we're like, just like locked in. But we're doing some really cool stuff.
Okay.
All that aside, me and my friends, we basically have self-funded a game studio. Our like awesome friends and family have helped us out here, where we get to go and then try something new in a genre that is kind of a classic. So the company that we made, it's called Super Source. Shout out Super Source.
Shout out Super Source.
We love dinosaurs.
Me too.
I'm a huge dinosaur fan.
Favorite dinosaur?
Dude, it's so funny you asked that. We're like literally drawing it into the everyone's portraits on our website. We're building
which
right
one?
Now. Yeah, everyone's favorite. So dude, I just like, big carnivores.
Okay.
So like real
T-Rex?
That's a shoo-in.
Okay.
That's a shoo-in.
Sure.
But any big teeth.
There's so many now in the new Jurassic Parks that it's like, you're discovering all these. Are you using genetic mutated dinosaurs as your favorite, or is that just something that you're going back to the archeology books?
There's like one or two Jurassic Parks in my book.
Okay.
There's like dude,
T-Rex is about as big as it gets in your. Because
listen,
my little niece is at this point saying like Mego Trigo Ligo Megadon or something. I'm like, okay, I'm not even sure that was real.
All you need,
that might just be a movie.
All you need is to go watch. Like, I cannot verbally represent the transformative effect seeing that Tyrannosaurus Rex step out of its paddock into the rain scene had on young Garrett. Like, if Garrett doesn't watch that scene when I'm like, I don't know, 8 or 7 or whatever, like, I'm probably not in this chair right now.
Holy moly.
Like, something about, dude, and I'm so totally on a soapbox waxing poetic right now, but listen, dinosaurs are sick because they represent like something greater, fantastical, mystical, that also was like based in reality, right? Like,
absolutely.
It's this literally larger than life things that were on this planet, and it represents, in a weird way, it represents hope. It's like dope and amazing things can happen. And seeing that in disbelief, like, and I remember I turned to my parents, and I was mad because I was like, you didn't tell me dinosaurs were real. Because like, the special effects on that shit, that holds up today.
It does.
Like, it bests special effects today in a lot of categories.
Because they did real prosthetics for all that. I mean, that's just
like
the way to go.
Crazy puppetry, stuff like that. Just profound impact on my like developing adolescent brain, which is like, it's like the only other time I experienced that was like Lord of the Rings level stuff. But yeah, dude. So that was awesome. That's why we themed our company dinosaur based. All my other people, they all favorite dinosaurs as well.
Nice, dude. Well, I love the backstory on that.
That's you don't want to hear about dinosaurs, dude.
So then you made a dinosaur game, right? Isn't that what it is?
Oh, dude,
So you made like Ark Raiders or something like that? Not Ark Raiders, I guess Ark Evolved.
Yeah, so to introduce what kind of game we're making, I want to talk about my favorite games of all time.
Okay.
So these are the games, much like, we just talked about the entertainment media, the movies that shaped me, the games that shaped me and my taste and my preferences, the big three. And they even like asked me this when I was like going to Riot. They're like, what are your top games? It is World of Warcraft.
Okay, that makes sense.
I have spent, I don't want to say how much time I've spent. Literal.
Yeah, years.
Like, not like cumulative years playing, like actual years in game playing. So we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't.
In that game, but I love that game. And then the other one is Halo. That was my
good choice.
First intro. Halo Combat Evolved.
Yeah.
Like, just the like crisscross applesauce on the carpeted floor of a 90s or like room with your friends there.
Crisp
Split
Xbox.
Screen, just absolutely bodying them on Blood Gulch. Spraying up, running, meleeing with the that's dude.
Connected the connected lands. You play 8. You ever do that where you connect the 2 Xboxes?
Yeah, and I remember, dude. Shout outs to Ryan Amiot. He was the one friend in my friend group who was better than me at Halo, and he just killed God. But yeah,
he always
those
got
LAN parties.
Huh? You had to split the teams up so that you guys weren't.
Nothing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing will beat. I don't know.
I had a birthday like that with Razor scooters to the park. I had an orange Razor scooter come back, have the LAN Halo going on. One room and the other room. I had a living room that was like a open circle. On one side was like the proper living room. The other side was more like the play living room. And had 2 TVs on each. And we're yelling across like, I got you.
Was there Mountain Dew or Doritos anywhere near this?
Not a Mountain Dew, but I wish there were some Doritos. My parents are pretty healthy. Probably had some like, poppy soda. I mean, whatever the version of that was back then.
Yep. But okay,
so Halo, you got
World of Warcraft, Halo, and then the other one here is the Great Super Smash Brothers.
Wow, 3
I
good
have
choices.
spent more time in Super Smash Brothers than any other fighting game. In
Wow.
all their various installments. And I've dabbled in some of the 2D fighters. I don't even remember, but like me and Charles, who we mentioned earlier, we
You guys
played
are DBFZ,
just like after
big
work,
time.
yelling at each other.
Yep.
He played Yamcha and pissed me off. So he did this like little like dashback wolf thing. Fist. I hated Charles when he played that.
You guys went crazy.
But like, listen, Smash Brothers, I cannot tell you the amount. It was like a thing. Like Garrett's high school friend group, like what we did after school or over summers is we just went and we just rinsed games of Smash with each other, yelled at each other, got into fights with each other.
Wow.
Like it's like who we're playing Smash or whose house are we playing Smash at today?
It's a great summer, man. That's a great summer. Take me back.
Dude, it was magical. And like all the different like playing 60 like I would go over to my friend's house really like on 64.
Yeah.
And we would have to be separated from the N64 because we were getting too heated over the original Smash game.
I believe that.
Because it'd be like, oh, Garrett, stop playing Samus. You're shooting too many missiles. And I was like, this is a valid strategy.
This is a valid strategy.
Then I made Drogos later.
It would later be deemed to not be a valid strategy and be called corny by most of them. I'm kidding.
Yep, through all the installments. And then, actually, ironically enough, the one E3 we went to when we were bringing Paladins to the Nintendo Switch.
I think I was there, actually,
was the E3 that they announced Smash Ultimate in, where they had was that the last E3 actually?
That I think
like
actually it was almost
That's
the last
crazy.
E3. Yeah,
that actually connects dots in ways that is like insane to think about. But yeah, we were there when they released Smash Ultimate, and I remember being in the like third party area where we were in for Paladins, just like I'm trying to psych people up over getting ready to play Paladins on Switch, and I'm looking at like the Smash characters. They had like full body statues and like screens playing Smash Ultimate stuff, and I'm just like, oh yeah, sorry. Fernando is a tank, and he sits on the point, and then Pip has a healing potion. And it was like, oh dude, Samus's new up special looks sick. Like yeah, it was
hard to stay
awesome.
focused.
So huge Smash fan. Yeah, dude. Shout outs to that team. That what they make is such a transformative and like broadly appealing way to play a fighting game that really kind of inspired my team to build what we're currently building.
That's exciting, man. I love that you guys are born and raised in that kind of aesthetic of what the original competitive nature was, even before we got to this like place where we all play, but we don't play together in the same room anymore. And I think a lot of those memories you talked to me about were, me and my friends playing, hanging out.
Yeah, it transcends.
In summer. And
it's so magical.
And we needed to be separated. Well, honestly, I think a lot of people long for that. A lot of people this age, they get that a different way, though. They don't necessarily have their friends over. A lot of people make their friends and they build their community online now, especially if you're streaming or especially if you're sharing your content and you're finding people who are similar level or who want to team up, and that becomes your crew. So, that Smash experience has changed, but I think it's still very much like people want to hang. They want to be social while they're gaming as well. Yep. And it's a problem. It's a problem in some ways because
it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity.
Or it's an opportunity.
Yeah, we are very keyed into so the core DNA of multiplayer in general. It's what I've built my career in, what all of my co-founders have built their careers in. And like there are some really consistent themes that come up in multiplayer titles that go down in history as like the greats, right? So what those pillars are in kind of I am trying to be as succinct as possible here, is there is a way for you to somehow enter into a game that you are going to be alongside a team of your friends, and you're going to be compete, fight, shoot, explode, like tactical, like no matter what genre we're talking about here.
Right.
If you're a multiplayer game and you're on like the front page of any of the big sites right now, right, you're going to abide by these pillars. So it's going to be teams of people competing against teams of other people, usually in like a 15 to like 30-minute play session.
Yep.
That is either objective or round-based format.
Right.
And across whatever genre, shooters, like MOBAs, like that format is true because it taps into just what makes humans enjoy. And like this is not profound. This sounds really simple, but humans like their friends.
Yeah.
We are all humans here.
Yeah.
Friends, playing games with friends is such a powerful moment. And we all like in the corollary here is like me, like everyone experienced Smash.
Yeah.
We all have this story or this memory of like sitting down, crisscross applesauce on your living room floor, on your couch. Your friends are all around you. You guys are doing like 4-player brawls with like crazy item rules where you're like, oh, all bombs or oh, all this. Or it's like, oh, we're going to do teams and like, and that's magical. Or you experienced something like that maybe a little later in your life, like at like a college party or something like that. But again, it is tied to local space because fighting games as a whole are very, they have very dedicated fan bases, but their premise is actually relatively old, right?
Yeah.
Fighting games started like arcade, right? It started in the arcade. Internet didn't exist. The concept of playing with people thousands of miles away was not a thing when the like template for what a fighting game was established. So Nintendo, right? They come around, Sakurai comes around, and he has these innovative ideas about, okay, how do I make a fighting game that has this like broad appeal and like isn't super serious, like it's a little bit whimsical in nature, right? And what he created a format that is just so profoundly genius and effective that it really hasn't been.
No one's been able to replicate it or even contend with it.
No,
since.
it's the great. Yeah. It's the great. But what they don't provide is like they're selling these types of games because they're trying, like Nintendo is trying to sell you consoles, right? They're all about this console experience.
Right.
Historically, there's a lot of opportunity in the online space for this style of things.
Yeah.
And then where you see the other entrants into this market come, they're all about the like, oh man, we grew up, we love playing Smash as well. And they index really high on the like nitty gritty competitive side of things.
Yeah.
So it's like, they're all about that 1v1. They love like, they're like, all like they love the majesty, moment. The hype, the idea of like esports
final
and
stock,
competition, right?
Knock them down, get the win.
And what we found is that is awesome. That is undeniably awesome. You're talking to someone who lead designed a game with an international esports league. I know the value of competition, but for those really high moments, in order to like support that, your game has to have a large following. It has to appeal to a ton of people.
Sure.
So where we've seen opportunity here is that what if we could connect people to this genre in a way that captures the magic of what they like experienced, like captures the joy. Because right now, I guarantee you, last Smash sold 37 million copies.
Yeah.
By the way, in game development terms, guys, that's a huge number.
Oh yeah.
That's a dumb number for a premium game, like a $60 game. Right?
Yeah. Like 3 million's really, really good.
Yeah. So 30, like that's insane. Which means like hyper successful. What percentage of people who bought Smash Brothers Ultimate, right, is like right now grinding ranked 1v1 online gameplay? Probably
0.001.
It's a fraction of a fraction, right? It's really small. So what we're trying to do is what I think we've done, if I can maybe be a little confident here, is that we have captured some of that magic that happened on that in-person couch, like when you were a kid, and translated into like the way that people actually connect now, which is like the digital couch, right? Yeah. Which is like getting on Discord after school or after work with your friends, logging on that game that has like social ties and allows you to compete alongside your friends instead of against them. Because like, listen, Were you ever like a really big fighting game player when you were growing up?
Well, I mean, big, not in terms of my skill, but I would always buy the fighting game that I liked or a new fighting game that.
Did you ever try to get anyone else to play with you?
Always.
Right. So what usually happens when that happens?
What I would say would be correct if you want me to say it, but basically, I would get my cousins to play, and this would be the thing. I would actually, for most games, because we were a big, Dead or Alive, and we obviously Soul Calibur earlier on.
Yep.
Smash Bros, of course, but like Street Fighter, Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur, Smash Bros. We'd get into Virtua Fighter, we'd get into Tekken, all of these different games, and what we would do is play, and it really happened in these ways when I was younger that I would know, but they wouldn't. But when Injustice came out, they saw it and they still remember it. They don't remember the earlier times when we were like 8.
Yep.
I knew what I did, but they didn't. And so basically, I would be even with them. And I would be like, I don't like this. I'm losing more than I should.
Okay.
I'm the oldest cousin. I need to be winning.
Ooh, okay.
I would look up the moveset, practice a combo, because they still had them in the pamphlets.
Dude?
Games used to come with combos in the pamphlets for the characters because they were boxed and they would give you that. I would learn the combo. I would go back the next day. And basically, if you don't know a combo and somebody else knows a combo, you're basically never, once they hit you, they do 40% damage and they hit you twice, they win. You have to keep hitting them randomly. So I would literally just always win.
Yep.
So they would stop playing. And so essentially, all of my people who wanted to play when I wasn't good, because I wanted to be good, they would literally just stop playing. And that they'd still remember the combo I would learn with Solomon Grundy in Injustice. And it was Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, something on a Tuesday. But I would just hit it and they'd be like, dude, and we stopped playing with you because I wasn't going to die to that combo again. So then I don't really have anyone to play fighting games with at that point.
And that is the template for, we talked about market size and stuff earlier, right? It's like there are a lot of barriers to entry of what a traditional fighter is nowadays. And not being able to play a game with a friend in a fun way, because most people like to have like their motives aligned with their friend in kind of like a team format, right? And
not getting beat up by your friend.
Yeah, and like the reality, right, is like oftentimes before someone, like the amount of time that you need to spend to get good at a fighting game, that can be measured sometimes in years, literally. True. And that's a huge commitment of not having fun. Right? Versus all of these multiplayer team games, right? Where I can come in, like, even if we lose sometimes, I'm laughing with the boys on Discord. Like about like, oh man, maybe we got this like person on my team that really tanked our chances this time for whatever reason. Or we tanked our chances on this team, right? We own that, but we're laughing about it because like, so there's something really magical that a team-based format has, and no one has, a couple people have been like barking up like similar trees, but I don't feel like anyone has really nailed the best way to do that in a fighter. And I think we've got a shot at doing that.
What you're saying too is kind of striking me as like we're taking classical music and we're putting a rap beat underneath it and we're kind of calling it a new way to do things, because it's like classical music is enjoyable, but it's got a huge price to pay to start
familiar
enjoying.
Familiar but new.
Yeah, it's got a huge price to pay to learn to enjoy it and to understand its complexities, and also to pay to see it, which is still a very expensive thing to do. And when you make it accessible, throw a beat on it. Spotify's enough. You hear the lyrics.
Dude, that's
you
a crazy metaphor. I actually love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really freaking awesome. Oh man, okay. So the crux of what we're trying to do, as I've been hinting at, right, is we have built a game that allows you to play at its core, phenomenal fighting game in a platform fighter. This is a term for those that you aren't familiar with, like the Smash Brothers style game, Smash style game. That is called a platform fighter.
Right.
And then like your Tekkens, your Street Fighters, these are like traditional fighters.
Right.
Like 2D traditional fighters. So we have built a platform fighter that if you are a fan of this genre, it should feel natural. Right. It should feel right at home. It feels good to move. The abilities are sick, are flashy. But what we've done is we've created a new way for you to play this game alongside your friends instead of, so like very much like the modern games, you can now squad up in a fighting game and queue up with your friends. Like And currently, right, what are you gonna, you're gonna play Street Fighter and you're gonna play with your friends, so you're gonna go and beat the snot out of each other? No. In our game, you and Nick and I get to go in together and then, try and take down our opponents. So we've kind of done this crazy. So the elevator phrase that we used in all the business talks, right, is we have Smash Bros meets Fall Guys, or we have Smash Bros and Fall Guys has a baby. Kind of. So we've rethink how the session structure works. We've reinvented the session structure into something that is fresh in the scene and changes the way that you look at fighting games. It's like, because right now, if you go and you bring up any of these fighting games in their categories, 9 times out of 10, what you're going to see is someone running a 1 versus 1 in a 3-stock or 5-stock battle. What we have to offer is a team experience where combat, moment-to-moment combat is still exceptionally important. There's a ton of depth, a ton of mastery. But we also interject, you're going to put you on a team of 3, and you're going to be competing against 3 other teams of 3. And you're going to try and be the last team standing in a fighting game. And I realize that right now that may not compute based on, as I'm describing
a battle royale
it,
fighting game.
Yes.
Kind of.
The principles are there.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily we're going to put 100 players on your screen at one time and you're going to be the last team standing. But what we've done is we've re-engineered the way that it's this crazy technological achievement. Also, full rollback networking for my fighting game players. You know what that means. Our performance is kind of crazy, actually. But we have created this session structure. So when I say session structure, that's a super designery term. When I mean maybe think of it roughly as a game mode, right? So Summoner's Rift in League of Legends, right? That's a session that has its own structure. So in our game, what you're going to do is you're going to basically form your squad, assemble your squad. You're going to pick
your
a character.
Okay.
Out of a cast of the fairy tales, fables, and legends characters from across time and space. And I think it's we get to twist these characters in really fun and exciting ways. So for instance, in our game, you get the canon matchups of Big Bad Wolf versus Red Riding Hood. But in our game, Red Riding Hood is this badass ninja with a dual arm blades, and she she just flips and spins. It's so
sick.
Cool. It's so fun, and she's actually crazy right now. So
please don't
play her. She beats my characters up.
Well, if they're on your team,
if they're on your team, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Play the OP character. So you're on this team with your friends. You are trying to be the last team standing, and what you're going to do in a kind of Fall Guys-esque Mario Party style thing is you're going to play a series of rounds. So you're going to be fighting for your team, but we're going to take, some rounds are 3 people versus 3 people in the same stage, right? You're fighting, combating. Some rounds are, we're going to split you up, and it's going to be 2 people from your team versus 2 people from another team, and then your solo is going to solo a solo from another team.
Whoa.
Right? So behind the scenes, we're ripping and mixing and matching and putting these players into these crazy configurations. So we get this insane amount of variety in game modes.
So someone's going to go 1v1, and you might send your best player to go take a 1v1, and then you might have a duo queue. Let's say it's me and Nick, if it was that, and you might go 1v1. Me and Nick would go and do our own game mode against another team's duo queue.
Yep. And then after you hopefully win that mode, right?
We would.
Because you and Nick are insane gamers.
Yeah, we would.
I had to play test with these guys. They're crazy.
Come on, man.
They're going to win their match.
Right.
And then you're going to come spectate my match if my match hasn't finished yet.
Ooh,
so you're
or
going
vice
to be
versa.
or vice versa.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're going to be in comms watching me try and clutch this 1v1 and put the team on my back.
Let's
and
go.
do right by just like you would you get off in a shooter, right? And then you're spectating.
Yeah.
Try to finish out the round, or res you or whatever, or you're on your respawn timer in a MOBA and you're watching your teammate hopefully carry, get really fed in lane. So we've captured this dynamic that this genre has literally never seen before, in a way that there is no direct corollary that I can point to in the market right now. That's this is what we're doing, which is scary. Because we're this is kind of a risk, but at the same time too, it feels very special. It feels very unique. And literally right now, as of the time of recording this video, we are just dipping our toe into getting a core people who are outside of our circle of influence
Yeah.
to play and test this. So there's like a lot of dedicated people, a lot of dedicated creators in this space. They're getting their hands on the game and
That's
they're like,
dope.
oh my God. This not only does this change the way that I think about these games, it also changes the way I think about the future of what making content for these games looks like. Because think about a fighting game, right?
Yeah.
If you're I'm talking to the camera, if you're a content creator for a fighting game, you're gonna go and you're gonna queue like 1v1s repeatedly. Just like I feel like that is missing out on so much of the like sticky moment-to-moment entertainment value and content that every other genre gets. From being like on a call, on a team with like all your friends and personalities, and you're commenting, you're reacting to one another, right? You're in the moment experiencing this thing right then and there. And it's social, and you're like I don't know. We've seen over the last 5 years, we've seen a lot of really successful games that come out that deliver novelty through fun ways to interact socially with each other. Whether this is like the repos, the peaks, the Among Us, right? People are foregoing big budget games with extreme amounts of polish and like crazy brand names, right? They're foregoing those for new experiences that involve novel ideas and fun ways to interact with your friends.
That's true.
Which gave us a lot of confidence in doing something like this, going out on a limb here. Like this is like, hey, Garrett sold his house and lives out of a closet and a gym bag in order to make this dream happen. And we believe in it fully. So we're all in. We're super stoked with how things are going. I don't know, the moments you get in this game right now are it's a breath of fresh air. It's like literally some of the creators, you just see them on their streams, right? They're like, oh my God. It's like we finally get to have the fun or like the interactions that everyone else has had. Because the format changed. But at the end of the day, you're still pressing very similar buttons that you've been pressing for decades, right? So it's familiar, but new.
I love it, man. It's as somebody who's played it before, I really enjoyed it, and it was a new experience. I will say that it was new, and it was also very social. And the thing about it is, you don't have, I think the closest social fighting games have been the ones where you're kind of ragdoll fighting, like Gang Beasts and the other one.
A little bit, yeah.
Like I feel like that's been the most, but it's still very. There is some team dynamic. There is some competition. You can queue ones. You can queue as a team. But for me, the traditional platform fighter, which is a genre which people have tried to replicate again and again, not a shout out to that, but you guys feel like you have the solution to what will actually be an inviting new experience that cannot overtake Smash, because we haven't ever seen a game do that, and you're probably not trying to do that.
It's not our goal.
However, 36 million guys would be great, but you're probably not trying to do that. But what you are trying to do is say that, hey, here's a way that we want to add to the gaming culture, the world.
I want to expand the genre.
Yeah.
I want to give people onlookers. I can't wait to see what people do with like this format. And see where like because like we've been in the space, working in the space for a while now. So when that happens, you get a little bit like lost in your own sauce a little bit. So I'd love to see what other people do with this format too. I welcome it, because I think this genre has so much to offer, because it is, as a game genre, fighting games have so much to offer. Just like all the other big genres, that are just on paper bigger than it. It's just the genre itself, I think, runs into some challenges that the other ones don't.
Right.
And I see this as a way to maybe blow that up, maybe remove those challenges. And you were talking about how like these different fighting games where you felt like community was achieved. So interestingly enough, this is actually really cool social psychological perspective, but the way that people, the most sticky version of fighting games is actually in the FGC, like the in-person stuff, the hyper-competitive in-person stuff. Like that's where that outlet becomes. But it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to do that because Like there's travel needed. You have to go in person, and you're playing a game that's difficult. And again, remember we talked about it's like, man, you're telling me to experience the like social oftenness of this like group of people that loves the things that I do. I have to like put myself out there in person and then like do with awkward like social stuff.
True.
And, like that's difficult for people to do.
It is.
They don't have the ease of use of just like loading into like, you know, if you would load into an Overwatch lobby or an Apex lobby, and it's like, cool, there's voice comms are gone. I can make relationships and connections with people about trying to like beat the other team then and there instantly because of the magic of the technology of the internet and what's that done for gaming. So I believe that fighting games are, and by the way, if I sound like someone who has been trying to advocate for fighting games for a while, it's because I have gone through the ringer trying to make this project happen.
I bet.
And had to stare down people who are like, you know, super business people that are like, your maximum units sold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, what we're talking about is like a transformative change. If you think about the transformative changes that are comparable to this, I want to point out a couple key things. So how did we get to League of Legends or Dota?
How did we get to League of Legends or Dota?
Do you know? It's like a classic piece of gaming trivia.
Well, I'm trying to rack my brain, but I feel like it might take.
Did you play any RTSs?
Well, my first thought was StarCraft, but I
That's the right first thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually,
I guess
the right second thought. The right first thought is actually Warcraft.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, wow, interesting.
Those games created modding communities, which, by the way, a lot of the crazy, like big genius gaming trends come from modding communities. So shout outs to small scale modders. Yeah. We love you guys. And a lot of us are a part of you. But so you had Warcraft, right? And then a mod was released that was like, okay, we like this camera angle. We like these mechanics of how things move around the screen, units fight each other, right? And then people were asking themselves like, well, how do we evolve this for like an online environment? And what did they do? They shrunk the scope. So instead of controlling, you know, a bunch of armies and fight with one other opponent, they're like, okay, well, what if you control one unit, but you're on a team of your friends and you're fighting other people on teams of their friends. And then you get Dota.
That's right.
And then Dota gives you League.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, well, Garrett, that's a one-time example, right? Like that has to be like a fluke. Surely there's not other. It's like, okay, let's go. I'd mentioned N64 the other days.
Yeah.
My favorite OG console, the one I spent just literally getting into fistfights over.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at my favorite shooter on that platform. Let's take a trip through time. GoldenEye, baby. Four-player split screen GoldenEye. Like screaming at your friend, stop looking at my screen.
Yeah.
Picking up the golden gun on Temple.
Yeah.
Like that experience moved off of the in-person couch onto the digital couch. That's what births shooters in general. Remember that massive market we were talking about?
Yeah.
That has multiple billion-dollar IPs?
Yeah.
That's where you get that. And again, it started about something that was designed for a local in-person experience.
Right.
And wasn't online and wasn't like favoring team play and wasn't that, you know, multi-round session-based thing.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you tamper with these forces and then sometimes magic comes out of it.
That's true. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts is something that I've been saying for a while. And then when you get the right whole, it could be a really big deal. And I think you guys are onto something. I'm more excited just to see it out in the world. What can you tell us from a timeline, getting involved? What's the plan to launch for you guys now for people who are kind of interested in going, hey man, let me play this. Let me get connected.
Yeah, great question. So we have got a pretty hard deadline that we are grinding towards. Unfortunately for the audience, that is unannounced at this time.
Gotcha.
But I would like to have this game out relatively quickly.
Okay.
I think in order to
2026, 2027, in that ballpark.
I would say 2026.
Okay.
I would say 2026.
Okay.
So we are. My team is working harder than I think any game develop. I don't know if you can see the rings under my eyes, but they are busting their butts because they feel like they have an opportunity here to change, make big changes, basically, and affect things at a scale that feel special, that feels unique. So we are trying to make this game for you. Where we are right now is we are slowly ramping up our currently early creator outreach stuff.
Nice.
So we are getting people involved that are part of this scene or want to be a part of this scene, that are interested in kind of the proponents of what we have to offer. They're like, oh man, I love making content. I love being on Discord calls with my friend and being just super in the moment, bringing joy to people with the joy I myself are experiencing.
Right.
So if that sounds like something you are interested in, and maybe you have a affinity for platform fighters or Smash, or you're like, man, dude, in college I was the best Ganondorf, or whatever.
A lot of people got that claim.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. A lot of people.
The heavy man right there.
If that sounds like you, let's talk.
Yeah.
Because we are very interested in your opinions. We're trying to do something cool with this. And I'm really excited to get this into players' and soon. We're also, as we kind of have hinted on a theme right now, content is king in games. So my team is, maybe our eyes are bigger than our stomach here, but we hope to, as a indie studio with a very, very small indie studio for launch, we are targeting a 14-ish character roster for a full suite, full ability suite, rollback netcode fighting game that we've basically going to be building in under 2 years.
That's awesome.
Which is, for my development people, that does sound insane, and it is insane, but man, it makes the work really easy doing once you see people's reactions to it. So right now, every time we do a test, people are like, how do I get in? How do I be part of this?
Yeah.
Give me the codes. And we're like, okay, Pause. Baby steps. We're still building this game. We got a lot to do. But every day the game looks better. Every day the game feels better. And I'm super stoked for this ride.
Nice, man. Are you guys public yet with Superstores? Do you have a profile on Twitter or places people can find
literally
you?
at the time. So we are building actually nice version of our website right now. At the time when we're recording this, if we have a pretty jank version that we put through together ourselves. We are the studio is not formally announced, but we're out there. And then the game. So again, I told you we are fairy tale themed, right? We're gonna cross over all these fairy tales, and we're gonna throw down in this whimsical kind of Fall Guys meets Smash Bros scenario. It's called Punch Upon a Time.
Let's go, Punch Upon a Time, baby.
So Once Upon a Time is something you might hear in a really cathartic storybook session. But
if you're playing this game,
like to fight. We do like to fight a little bit, so
you get a knuckle sandwich, man. But you almost punched my whole setup over here.
You can bill me for it later,
man. All right, oh, dude, man, it's been fun connecting. I mean, so many pieces of history, and what's funny is we probably could have kept going for another 3 hours, but it's
easy.
It's always a pleasure, and I love all the information you bring. I think for people of my channel and people who watch my content, one of the things I want to do is yes, peel back the layer between the game dev and the game consumer space so that we can have better conversations and be more informed when we have conversations. And also, I think it's to tell really cool, inspiring stories. And I think you personally, with your commitment to this and your journey, but also what you guys are doing and your knowledge in game dev, contribute to both of those aims. So thanks for being here, Big G. It's always fun, man. Thank you. And
happy to do it.
I'm sure we'll be hearing much more about Punch Upon a Time very, very soon. Anybody who's interested, we'll make sure to have all that information so you can check out the new game coming out in the description below. And as always, my friends, remember to never give up, never stop gaming. We'll see you all next time.